Howdy, y'all. Thank you for joining us today with Jammin Outdoors. Brian Absher here. If you watched my videos, you know this is the reveal for our top 100. This is going to be my 25 through 11 and Brian Absher's 25 through 11. And definitely have different takes on games, that's for sure.
Well, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. We've been talking about doing this quite a while.
Yeah.
And we hit like top 50, top 100, and we figured top 25 would be the quickest and most time-saving way of doing things.
I think so.
As far as two people doing it, get kind of long and our busy schedules with doing two people.
Yeah. Plus, these are our games we love so much, so I'm sure we're going to want to talk about our games a lot here.
It's just not in the top 10, right? It's just,
yeah, these are all the garbage ones. We're getting all the garbage ones out of the way. If you haven't watched the other videos, at least I know you use Pub Meeple. I use Pub Meeple to basically, I did it 10 times with over 300 or 400 games just to kind of get a average of where my games lie at. And it's been surprising. I haven't even looked at my other I haven't even looked at my other games on here yet. I know some already that are going to be kind of there. Just I was thinking about last night. It's like, man, I haven't hit this game yet. I haven't hit this one yet. I mean, I know my top 10. I couldn't resist myself. Had to grab my top 10, see what they were. I'll be revealing here, but I have already thought about 5 games for sure that I know are in this list because I have not hit them yet, and they weren't my top 10, and there's no way. But we don't know. Pub Meeple might have done me wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't. I've been pretty happy with where everything's at. I know you do a constant
one, yeah. I'm not a big, I can't do one every year or just don't have the expertise like he has. I have over 300 games under my belt, but not 1,000.
Thousands, yeah.
So he's...
Well, nothing like the Dice Tower or anything. Like,
yeah.
I'm lucky. Like, I'm tired of playing new games. Y'all are still in that. I'm like, man, I want to play the new hotness, but kind of want to play my old games I like, you know. So I'm still in that. I'm in this weird spot right now.
So sometimes trying out new games ain't just the best thing because we know that we play some of the older ones.
Yeah, true.
Consistent.
Bad rule books. A lot of it's bad rule books. Bad rule books. Like, I was never one that preached about bad rule books. I can always look it up, but now it's like when I'm breaking something down, bad rule book.
Yeah.
Other than that, really don't know how to go into this fashion. Do you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, I'm gonna go first, and then, like I said, you got a little bit more. My stuff's gonna be brief. Some of the games I really like, so I might talk about a little bit more than others, and I may get some of the terminology wrong, right? So you can kind of correct me on some of that.
Dude,
stuff.
I make up my own terminology too. A lot of it I use is just stuff I hear from other YouTubers. So,
and the way that I feel about the way the game is. The way the gameplay is might be different in his take on it, so his take, might be better than mine. So I don't mind him chirping in on my stuff. So, anyways,
other than that, just realize this is our opinion. Like, this is just where we are. Like, I like doing this more of just because I'm part of the hobby and I like knowing where, like, especially since I own a shop, it's real easy for me to sit there and go, this is in my top 100 games, or even using the Dice Tower's Player's Choice, a lot of times I will sit there and let people know, like, this is in the top Player's Choice. So I like to do this one just to kind of know also where I'm at in gaming. Like, I've definitely seen shifts for sure, and I won't go into too much on that. We'll hold on to the top 10 because a lot of it is I see my shifts in games, what I'm enjoying at the time, and that's what this is. This is an opinion piece, so this is just what I am into and enjoying at the moment. Now, also realize I also like doing this because it gives people a chance to see these other games or see other people's takes on it, and maybe that gives you a cause to want to go try that game or see what that game's like. But
because we have different ways of games. Now we have some that are similar, right? Some that we like that are similar, but we definitely have different opinions on games.
Well, you've already said that you're pretty sure you saw some of mine are in your top 10,
right?
But we'll see.
Yeah.
And you don't know what my top game is, you know.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to...
Let's just start with number 25, right? That's where we're at?
Number 25.
Okay, so number 25 that I have on my list, it sat up this on the shelf in the plastic for days. We pull it out. Hey, let's play this. I don't feel like learning a new game. Put it back up, and we say, we got games that are just kind of like this one. We already have themes that are like this. Let's just play that one. And we played that one, and we liked it. and people liked it, and then they'll say, well, what's this other one? We'll pull it out, look at it, not take it out of the plastic, put it back on the shelf, and then play another game that's the same type of theme.
That don't sound like me at all.
So my number 25 is Reavers of Midgard. Single worker placement. Now, if you have trouble with worker placement, you get all these workers, you have no clue, this is a single worker placement. What's great about that is you just put one worker down. Also, on the work placement, where you put something down, somebody else gets a bonus reward at that location. So if you're not the first one to put there, it won't be as great of a bonus, but it's a Viking game, right? So we have plenty of Viking games. That's why it stayed on the shelf, because we didn't want to learn a new Viking game, but we pulled it out, and it's a completely different game compared to the Champions of Midgard or our Raiders of the North Sea. So we played a Viking game, we played those, and we played this one, and we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. If you're comparing it to Champions, it's more of an offensive than it is more of a defensive type of role. You're more pillaging cities and going into communities and getting resources.
Definitely more Viking. It's more Viking themed. I think I talked about this. I don't remember. I may have edited it out. I talked about this in my Champions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then you have a leader that allows you to do an active or a passive during the game. You can actually do their ability right at the beginning when you get them, or you can put them, store them on your ship. That allows you to have a passive ability when that actual thing happens in the game. That's what I like about it. There's a lot of dice in this game. For some reason, there's a ton of dice, right?
I think that's just part of their system.
Yeah, it's part of the system. Yeah. But it's not really a dice chunker, right? You roll your dice, and then that's your crew, right? Your dice give you the symbols that you need, and that's your crew.
And resources.
Yeah, and it gives you resources. So you use that passive ability when you use that on that leader for your crew to get better resources, to give you strength. It gets kind of point salad-y, especially with some of the set collection you get with cards. There is set collection in it. You go to the communities or pillage those areas that give you those cards, get those matching cards. And number one thing I like about it compared to Champions is there's no troll.
Yeah.
There's no troll.
We talk about this all the time.
Now there is a way to get negative victory points in this game, but it's a little bit more controlled. You'd be ahead 16 points, and this guy, you don't want to deal with the troll, but whoever is in the lead, they're going to get the blame every time. So if you don't like Champions because of the troll, try out Reavers. It's a great game. Like I said, worker placement, hey, got one worker, good to go. That's my number 25 is Reavers of Midgard.
I kind of agree with you on this one. Like, I actually do think this one will be in my top 100. We'll see, because Champions is definitely one of my favorite games. I like Champions more, but I also like the pressure luck element to Champions a little bit more with the dice rolling. Whereas, yeah, I could see with your play style, this is definitely a bigger fit to you because of the way it's more controlled.
And it feels more aggressive, more offensive. In Champions, you feel like you're more on a defensive, especially with the troll thing.
It's that pressure luck. It's the if you are more looking for that Viking feel, like true Viking, not mythological or anything. Like, you're going to raid villages, you're going to raid keeps. That's where this one catches real good. The best thing about Reavers that I liked a lot was that it seems like he said, you're going to place one worker, and that's it. But the amount of stuff you get to do for that one worker, because if Brian places that worker, I get to do something, and everyone else gets to do something at a lesser extent in seating order, but we all get to do something. And you think about it, it's like, man, it's only 6 rounds. I think it's six rounds.
Yeah, it's not very long.
6 or 8. It's not very many rounds. And you're like, wait, each person's only going to get one worker? I don't know, man. You get so much done in that game. Your victory pile is stupid
especially
big.
With the set collection.
Yeah, it's stupid big. And yeah, great game, great pick. I agree with that one. I think this one could very possibly be in my top 100. Right. My number 25 was number 16 the year before, so it dropped a little bit. It's about close. I think I know why, and it's just because I haven't gotten to play it that much. It's a game I hate teaching and getting to the table, and I don't think you played it yet. It's actually sitting right behind you. It's Roll for the Galaxy. Roll for the Galaxy. I know a lot of people say I should play Race. I have finally played Race. I think because I'm a dice chucker, I love playing this game a lot. The coolest thing in this game, in my opinion, is the way while we're all playing the game at the same time. So as far as of course we're playing at the same time, but I'm doing things while you're doing things while you're doing things. There's no downtime in this game. This game could be, nice thing about this game, it could be knocked out in like 15 minutes. And it feels like I built this empire in 15 to 20 minutes. And the nice thing about it, the only thing hard to teach about it is you're rolling dice behind a screen.
Oh, and play with people you got to trust, right?
Well, there's definitely that. There's definitely a factor on that. But the other factor of it is I got to teach you how to put things. You're rolling dice behind a screen and you're placing them somewhere.
Okay.
So I got to teach you like how to place certain things and how certain abilities work so that you can trigger things. That's the hardest thing to teach. And yeah, you definitely have to trust the people behind the screen. Like, especially when you hear click clacks behind the screen, like, wait, we already rolled. What are you click clacking? You played Kapow. That'd be about the same. The only difference is Kapow, it's worker placement, so the person can read. This one's not. They have to understand symbols and stuff like that. Now, other than that, once you played the game, it's simple. And the only downtime in the game is when someone's exploring, because they're putting stuff in the bag and out of the bag, and that takes a little bit of time because they're wanting to fish around the bag. But yeah, it's a great pick.
Yeah. We've always tried playing it, but it never gets to the table.
Because I gotta teach it, and usually the way I teach it is the first time I play with my screen down. That way people can see what I'm doing, so they get to see my first turn. But it is one of those action selection ones also, like Earth. It's like Earth in the vein of action selection, or if you played Race for the Galaxy, because I'm going to choose something, and that allows everybody else to do that also. But everyone else is going to choose a selection also. Actually, the closest thing it's to is Ares Expedition, Terraforming Mars, and Race for the Galaxy. Usually this is one we break out and it gets played 2 or 3 times.
All right. Number 24. The theme really doesn't do it for me, but the way the game plays is like, who would have thought, it's Viticulture Essentials Edition, right? Viticulture, right?
Will not be in my top 100.
Making wine, right? Come on, making wine. I'm not a big wine drinker, but come on, the theme doesn't do it for me, but the gameplay. You have a seasonal worker placement, so you can only place workers at in certain seasons to do certain tasks. And if you put too many workers in one season, you get those workers back, but you don't get to do during the season, spring, fall, summer, winter. You put too many workers in one season, you don't get to do those tasks in that other season, which actually gives you a direction to go. And every season is different. That allows you to take care of certain tasks that you have in each season that's in your vineyard. You also have cards in the game, like visitors or workers that help you can attract visitors to your vineyard. They give you special abilities along with the workers. And they give you certain abilities to age your wine. And the reason why you want to age your wine is because you want to fulfill these objectives. The objective cards also give you a direction to go to where you can fulfill these objectives, age your wine, and then ship them off to whoever, and that's how you get your victory points. But the gameplay is very unique turn structure, especially the first person option. Gives you if you want to be first player, it gives you the option to be first at every location, which gives you an extra bonus. And then certain other turn structures give you other bonuses. It may give you another extra worker if you're last, right? You get an extra big guy the Grande. Yeah, the Grande guy. You can build buildings to help with certain tasks around your vineyard, to help double something up, or build have extra vines in your area. You can also sell your lot to get more money, to maybe want to hire more workers. Goals and objectives give you direction by fulfilling the orders. There's no other game that I know of that ages wine that has that same mechanic.
No, this is the only one I know that, well, I played a couple similar, but not exactly like this.
Yeah.
This does a very good job.
But like if you're not I'm not into wine, but the theme really doesn't do it for me. But I like the way the turn structure is with not the same person goes first every time. You can pick how you want to do it. You can get your chance to pick, hey, you want to go third, you get that extra bonus. You want to go fourth, you get that bonus. You want to go first, you get to be the first to put on the map. If you like aging wine, that's the game for you. I'm not a big wine person. I just like the mechanic of the game and how you can pick, okay, this season I want to put my workers at that during this season and have them do that work. May not even be your thing, but it gives you a direction on what to do and how to get points. So my number 24 is Viticulture.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I think what you mainly like about it is the thing I don't like about it. I do like this game. I want to say it bubbles in my 120
Really?
area. I do like the game. I think it's a solid game. I think it's a good game. I think people should try it. It's a very easy game. Also, you can toss this on the table. Even if, like you said, even if people, I know people who aren't into wine also who love this game. Yeah, so that's a good pick. I don't know. It's
not for you.
It's just not for me.
The theme's not for me, but for me to say, hey, there's this game that has this type of play.
Oh yeah.
That many don't.
Yeah, the theme ain't for me either. It's definitely just one that I break down by the mechanics. And like I said, I do enjoy playing the game. It's just not good enough to be in my top 100.
Go ahead.
All right. My number 24, you've definitely played, and it's about in the same spot. It was 29 last year.
Oh, okay.
This is a game I want to play the whole series of in order, and I know it's a goal that'll probably never happen. It's Bios Origins. Bios Origins, if you watch my videos, you know I like Civ games. This is a pretty rough Civ game as far as it's long. And the way things happen, there is a huge randomness factor to this that can happen, but just the stories we're able to tell in this game and the things, it's so simple too. The rule book is so textbook, like reading a textbook. It's based in the science, steeped in science and our history, but it's so simple in how it works. And the scoring is what I find is real unique in this game. But you got 3 different areas and fields you need to work in. It's, I think, footprint and travel and stuff is one of them. And then there's economics, and one has to do with cities and stuff like that, or religion and stuff like that, I meant to say.
There's some area control aspect to it. That's why I like it. And you know,
spoiler, he loves area control.
Yeah, you could be on the map and nobody would be there, and there's this other track this guy's going up and getting points off of that. So necessarily you don't have to be an area control person to like this game, because people were getting points by not even being on the map, or not strong on the map.
Yes, because it scores different. So you got to kind of spread out in everything you're doing. So you got to be building a civilization based off of other things than just one thing only.
And you got to progress.
Yes.
So isn't it a big glossary too on the rule
book? Yes, this, like I said, it's like a textbook. If you have not seen this game, it's a textbook. And the thing I was talking about, I don't want to play it in the series because there's Bios Genesis, and then that lets you create life. And then you go into Mesofauna and Megafauna, and then that leads into evolution, which gets you into the civilization building, which is Bios Origins. And then there's...
Isn't there a big 24 by 40 map or whatever that...
For the last one. One's, as a matter of fact, it's right behind you there, High Frontier. Still in plastic, by the way. I just know it's never going to happen. I also have never played the new one that just came out, the Mega. I get those mixed up. I think it's Mesofauna. I think Megafauna already came out. But yep, that's my, like I said, it was 29 last year. That was my first year I played it. It's sticking here at 24, so I think it's going to stay here. Don't know if it's going to be my number 1 Civ building game, because I can think of one that I don't remember if I've talked about now. So, but yep, that's it. Number 24, Bios Origins.
All right, number 23 is one of your favorite games. And, man, you get so excited when we mention this about how we're going to get pow-pows when we play this game.
Oh, no, I don't think it's the same one, but...
Yeah, when we say, hey, let's play this, and he gets all wrapped up. Now, my number 23 was Orleans.
I do like Orleans.
Great bag builder. And what's great about it is your bag builder, you can carry your workers over between rounds. And there's many paths to victory. There's not just one way of winning. It feels like a deck builder, though, without any cards, right? Like, don't you get that feeling?
Bag builder. I think it was the first bag builder. I'm pretty sure it's the first.
And it's a medieval time. You recruit followers during that time frame. You have monks. You have you have knights. And the art is kind of lame, really. It's kind of lame looking art. But like I said, if you like bag builders and it's simple bag builders, this one for me, I like it better than Quacks, just because of the deck building. Like it feels like, and Quacks is too much push your luck type.
Well, that's what.
Yeah. But here's the thing on that game. It starts to feel similar after several plays, right? It starts feeling the same.
Well,
some of the same
it's a
stuff.
Euro game. Most people don't realize it. It's a very Euro-y game. It took someone pointing that out to me, and that's.
But yeah, you have pool building, tech trees, and tech tracks. I couldn't really explain the tech part of it. The land where you go and get the resources Yeah, traveling around. So those kind of get kind of random in the game. But you like medieval time games, bag building, very simple game, very easy to teach.
Track movement.
Yeah, track movement. Like I said, you can carry your workers over between rounds. Now you're limited to a number of workers, right, that you can use.
You are limited by the number of knights you have, whatever track you're on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyways, that's my number 23. I don't really have much to say about it because it's a very simple game, very simple bag builder. Great, get your people you want to put in the bag, and then pull them out, gain those resources, and go the direction you want. There's multiple ways to win in the game.
Well, the expansions definitely open that up more. I agree with you. Base game, it's pretty simple. This one, I am on a huge streak right now, so you are right. I brag about it quite a bit. I'm pretty sure I'm 22-0 right now. 22 wins in a row, I should say.
But you hear the title, it has nothing to do with Orleans or anything. It's medieval times. So that's what I thought.
Well, it's Orleans.
Orleans.
It's about the...
But I'm from Louisiana, so when I saw it on the shelf, I was
Orleans?
like, Orleans, let's play some Zydeco
Orleans.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But no.
And I'm probably saying it wrong, too, with my accent. I'm pretty sure
it's got a little over the A or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's a great game. It may be on my list.
It may be on your list.
Yeah. No, good pick. There's not that... Everything he said is pretty much everything I say on there. It's a great game. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be talking about it later.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. My number 23 moved. Did it move up for me? No, actually, it's moving down, but not by much. My number 23 is was number 19 last year, so pretty close. Number 11 the year before, it was number 7, so it fell on my top 10. It is a bag builder. One you have not played yet. I've been trying to throw it on the table. The game is called Hyperborea, I believe is how you say it. We always call it Hyperborea.
We busted it out, but then put it back up.
Yeah. This is definitely a game. I always tell a story about this game because this game, I remember a person I was playing games with in College Station bought this game, and it was an $85 game, and we couldn't sell it in the shop, so he bought it, and we played it. I wanted it, but I wasn't going to pay $85 for it. And then later, the game re-released much cheaper, like almost $50 to $30 range. Like, holy crud. But the expansion was so impossible to find. And I'm hoping the expansion fixes some issues I do have with the game. But even then, as I say, I have issues. It's a bag builder. I love bag builders. I love deck builders. This was, I want to say, probably it was one of the top, not top play ones, but one of the first ones to come out.
That's what's in bag builder, though. You got to play with people you trust, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a little bit more simpler bag builder. One thing for sure, if you look at the cover of the game, which I'm sure we're going to either have here or down in the corner, you look at that cover, it does not match the game at all. You're not doing what it shows in this game.
There's a lot of games that are like that.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that one. This one definitely doesn't.
Look. It's right there.
I disagree with you on that one, but this one for sure. This is not what you do in this game whatsoever. Your guys do nothing like you're pulling cubes out of the bag and putting them on a thing to level up skills.
Right.
You're not combating. Even the combat is simple. It's like I got 1, you got 2, you win. Yeah, but I like this game a lot. A lot of it is how to do the cubes, like the way the cubes work, because unlike Orleans where you're going to be throwing your guys back in the bag, this one you're going to have to play with your whole bag, and there's going to be some duds in there, just like playing with a deck builder.
Right.
You're going to hit some duds, and the thing I like about the game a lot is the technologies you get, and every time you take a technology, you got this awesome power you can do, but you got to take a dud in your bag for every technology you take. Like, oh man. That's gonna be a stinker when I pull that.
You're actually calculating the odds of if you take too many techs, the odds of you drawing those.
Also, you want the refresh in your bag, and like being able to draw extra out of your bag, just like drawing in any game or any deck builder, is so strong in this game. And being able to do that and cycle through your cubes, because you want to reset your bag, because if you used up all your orange cubes already to do all these skills, well, you can't reset your board, or you have to try it out. There's a board you play on, but I'm telling you right now, this is definitely one you want to try out first before you play it and buy it. I like it a lot, but it's a lot of the technology. Technology's in games is just the thing I do it. The way your player powers are so different on each other. Like, I already know which one you're going to want to play, which is kind of an area control guy, whereas the guy I like playing has nothing to do with area control. He's just turning victory points into more draw because it's a Billy deck. I'm gonna get as much draw as I can. I can turn my victory points into more draw, which can get me more victory points. I'll do it all day, every day. Yeah, but definitely try it out. It is not what it looks like at all. Even when the board's set up, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go over here and do this." Nope. Not what it looks like at all. It's really putting cubes on a board and trying to time how to do that. But that is my number 23, Hyperborea. I think that's how you say it, though. We call it Hyperburrito.
Yeah. Hyperburrito.
But yeah, Hyperborea.
All right. My number 22 is an area control game that it was very simple for you to teach us how to play it. Obviously, you were learning it at the same time, too. But when you got into the game, it was very crunchy. It felt like a very easy game. But then when you got into it, it was like this crunchy area control game. And you're like, this game's easy, but it should be this hard to figure this out. My number 22 is the Wolves. Area majority, more of an area majority than area control. There is a little bit of take that, especially if you expand too aggressively, right? You get too thinned out. Then, the pack leader, it's the theme that does it for me. It's the wolves. You have a pack leader, then you have some smaller wolves. But if you get too thinned out of your smaller wolves, another pack leader can come in and take your property. The action selection mechanism was the tile flipping action. Whatever, is terrain. You have a terrain. It's a hexa movement or hexa grid movement. You move from different terrain types, from like snow to desert to grassland or wasteland or whatever. And whatever action you select on your mechanism, you flip a tile, and that's where you can do your action, is in that type of. And some of them are more stronger than others. What I remember is not a very long game. Didn't take us very long. The teach was still pretty long, but. And then obviously the crunchiness of where you have to go to try to, and you can attribute upgrade on your board to take a more of aggressive action. So if you don't attribute upgrade, because your board has these little mechanisms to upgrade your pack and upgrade.
That's my favorite part of the game.
And how strong you can make your actions. How strong you make your actions. You're not making your actions stronger. You're not able to move around the board and take over an area. And then if you're not into taking over areas, there's also prey. Small animal prey that wolves can prey upon to get points by doing that.
Set collecting.
Yeah, the set collecting part of it. But like I said, it's area control. The theme, wolves. I was always into wolves growing up, so there's not many area control games that have wolves in it. So that's my number 22, the Wolves. Check it out. It's a really good area control game if you're into area control. But like I said, you're going to look at this game. It's very easy, but then when you start getting into it, the crunchiness of having to take over an area and the way the rules set for each figure that you have kind of gives you a little bit of thinking into it.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna. I don't remember if I put that one. I think we didn't play that till this year. I think so. I don't know if that
played
one.
It with us.
So we'll have to see. I do like it, but yeah, inevitably, yeah. Every time we play this, even one of our experienced gamers, he'll even say, "Man, this is way crunchier than I thought it would be." It is very crunchy, and it's more of just on that flipping the tiles. That is cool. It is unique. And I know that word gets used a lot, but it is pretty unique. I have not seen that in another game yet that I've played, at least. But the way, yeah, you choose your areas. My favorite thing, of course, is the way you pay your resources. Yeah, the flipping your resources, which is the ground you were talking about, saying what you do. My favorite part is the removing stuff off the board. I tried looking up that mechanic. I don't know what that's called. I don't know if that's actually a mechanic. As far as like taking stuff off a board and putting it on the, like take stuff off your personal board and putting it on the main board. Just to
give you an upgrade, to give you a power up.
Yeah, I do like that a lot. That one is really cool. Really cool game. I agree with you. I don't think we played it till this year, so that's one reason it's probably not in my list. I do think I like it more players than I did lower player count for sure.
It's a Pandasaurus game, so you do like
that's the reason I backed it. I pre-ordered it immediately with extra copies for the shelf, and I want to say we even only have one copy left on the shelf, and I ordered a lot of copies of it. It's one, but yeah, it's good.
That's my number 22, the Wolves area control game. Check it out.
My number 22, I don't know if this is my number one Civ building game or not, because I don't know if I've talked about the other one yet. This one, I know you haven't played yet. This one, I can guarantee is theme also, but it moved up a lot for me. But the rule book is so terrible. Terrible. So bad that there's someone who went on BGG and set up and made a new rule book that combines
the whole
everything.
thing?
Yes, because every time they released an expansion, the rule book was messed up. And mostly it's a Borg. So gave it away with Star Trek there. It's Star Trek Ascendancy. It's number 22 for me. It was 42 last year. And I think that was just because I think last year I enjoyed it. I knew instantly, theme-wise, the stuff you can do in it, the way the map builds out in this, I love the way the map builds out. You get to choose how the map builds out because you're making the space lanes. And the only time you can change that space lane is once it doesn't already have another space lane attached to it. So I can choose where to put my planets as I'm laying them out because I'm making a space lane travel there. But then now, because I made another one off of that, that one can't move. It's stuck in space. But also, it's a Civ game where there's no way, I have no access to you until I build space lanes to it. So I got to find a route to you. So if you are one of those people that's worried about like, oh man, the Klingons, you're all about war? Well, you got to find me first, buddy. I got time to build up. I love that, just the way the map builds up. But the theme's a lot of this to me. The main expansion that breaks the game, but I feel like it just can't be played with without it, is the Borg. And it's the way the Borg react. And inevitably, you're going to have someone who tries to get taken over by the Borg because they think they get to play the Borg. I disagree with that. That is one of the rules you can play with. I would never allow that in my games. Just not, that's not happening. Because, in my opinion, the Borg, you shouldn't have choices. It should be, I flip over this deck, I'm doing exactly what it's doing. You're a programmed, I don't know how much you know about Star Trek. You're a programmed computer. You're a robot. You're not making choices like a human would. This is what I do. This is what I do. So
well, unless it's a great game, a Star Trek theme would not do it for me. You know?
Oh yeah. You gotta be a Trek. If you're a Trekkie, you're gonna love it. If you're not, you're gonna have to. You would have to love the. I do like the way the technologies work. I like the way a lot of
random in it. Does it have randomness in it?
A dice randomness. There's like that space lane. Like man, I'm gonna build to this. I'm gonna build to this planet. It's 3 away. Well, I can connect to you. Oh, I can't gear this. I didn't get enough. There's that little bit of randomness to it.
So you have to wait till the next turn, or what?
Yeah, you just move the plan around, explore again.
I got you.
I like the way the resources work in this game. It's very interesting take on it because you may find a planet that has certain resources and you may find one that doesn't. And that makes you either have to explore out further or... to me, when people talk about Twilight Imperium, I'd rather play this, but I will admit Twilight Imperium is a much more streamlined, cleaner game. This, if it wasn't for theme, this probably wouldn't be as high for me. I am a big Trekkie. I think the last time I played, I went ahead and played the Romulans, but I just always want to play the Federation.
Does it have a solo on or no?
Yes, it does. Solo's rough. Solo is really rough because you got to take the board on there by yourself.
Have you played it solo?
That's primarily the only way I played it. I only played it one time. Yeah, and that's another note. This is only playing it solo. I only played it one time with somebody else. Star Trek Ascendancy, I like this a lot. I also have not played with the new expansion. There's a new expansion, the Dominion War, which I definitely want to play with because Deep Space Nine to me is Star Trek.
Do you have it here?
Nah, I know where it's at in my house. The box is falling apart because I had it sitting weird, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's another one, just like Imperium, though. You got to set up a day for it. It's going to be a long game. Yeah. But anyways, yep, that's it. Star Trek Ascendancy, number 22.
All right, my number 21 was one of the first games he introduced in here to me. It was a deck building game, but it had area control in it, right? And over time that we started playing this game a bunch with people because it's so easy. But when we have 4 people, it's like the perfect game to play with 4 people. It doesn't work with 3. It doesn't work with 2. It might work with 2 better than 3, but... Nah. Right? But I began to see the reason why it fell down so far is it began to see what he's talking about. And I hate to say it, but he's right about it. But my number 21 is Tyrants of the Underdark. Best with 4 players. Like
it's all right. You can tell me I'm right.
One of the greatest games in here with 4 people.
I agree with that. I will not play it unless it's 4.
It combines 2 elements, deck building with area control. Obviously, area control is one of my favorite elements, and then it just takes deck building and just expands on it. What's great about it is you only have 2 resources to worry about, right? Money and power. Money is you buy the cards to build your deck better, and then power lets you take over the board. And money buys cards, power allows you for area control. And then there's certain city points or certain areas on the board that if you maintain control, you get those points. And certain areas give you more points for holding them longer at the end of the game. And the power on the board allows you, when you have more power, allows you to take out the military units that are on the board. So it's an area control game where you have a bunch of military units on the board. You got to control and maintain these cities. Use your cards for the power-ups. You also have another option to promote a card and get the victory points that way. So you don't necessarily have to be on the board presence that much. You can still get points from getting some of the best cards. The issue that I started seeing was buy the best card out there. Yeah. Buy the best card out there. But then if you randomly select whatever deck you pick.
Actually, we have been seeing that.
As far as like, for some reason or another, when I would play, the random deck he would select is the stuff that gives you negative cards.
I'm helping you build your deck.
Yeah, so there's these dragons or whatever they're called. Demons.
Outcasts.
Yeah, outcasts. And the outcasts make you discard cards. So if you have a hand of 5 and then he has 3 of these cards, discard 3 cards or whatever. Now
yeah, that is a demon.
Yeah. So now you have these demons that push outcasts into your hand, and these outcasts are useless in the game. So you're not even building your deck. You're just discarding cards. So that was the negative part I've seen of the game is you have these cards in there that get randomly put in to give you negative.
To be fair, last time I tried going that route, I lost miserably.
Really?
Miserably.
Yeah. So it's one of my favorite games. Unfortunately, it's fallen because I've seen what he's talking about. Buy the best card out there, and it'll get you ahead. And I guess that's why they have the outcast to balance that.
Actually, so what we've noticed, also, I used to play this game, I always had the drow in. It always had to be the drow with someone. And I think we've been seeing more with the expansions. We haven't really seen that. It's not as bad as I've been saying with the buy best card out there. That's an issue. As I say that, that's also an issue with deck building games at that time. DC Deck Builder, I would say came a long way, but it had that same problem. A lot of games have that problem. So.
Right. But yeah, that's. It's a very simple game, very easy to teach. You got 4 people. Hey, let's play Tyrants of the Underdark. That's my first suggestion about every time we have 4 people in here. Tyrants of the Underdark, because you don't have to cut the board off. If you play with 3, you got to cut off a section. You play with 2, you're only playing in the middle part of the board, and 2 just feels very racy. It's very racy, It's just
It is. That is 2 players definitely best card out there, and whoever got it first is ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 21, Tyrants of the Underdark.
Nothing to really add to that. I think I said mostly everything you said because it was in my top 100 for sure. I already talked about it. 3 is better than 2 because then it could at least, but 3 turns into paper, rock, scissors. 4 is definitely the sweet spot in this game. And like I said, there's nothing else I can really talk about. I do like this game a lot. I enjoyed it a lot because I read all those books and I read the Drow books and stuff like that. And I get into that. But yeah, there's nothing else I can add to that. Everything he said, I do like this game. It fell down quite a bit for me only because not so much buy best card out there, but the combination of buy best card out there with the randomness. I just felt it was way too random in the game. But this is definitely one that's not nice to people either. I think it's nicer than DC Deck Builder is to people, but this one, if 2 people gang up against you, you're pretty much done. Yeah, or you're gonna have.
And you
to have
can kind of
defenses.
predict what some people are gonna do.
Yeah,
which direction they're going, as far as the board presence wise.
Yep.
So,
for sure, great game. Well, my number 21 we already knew had to be on here because we brought it up the other day on May the 4th. And we're like, hey, I have not talked about this game yet, so it has to be in my top one. It has to be in this part of the list. Star Wars Outer Rims, my number 21. It was 30 a year before, 38 before that. It moved up. I think the same reason you now will actually play it. It moved up because of the expansion. The expansion definitely fixes a lot of issues I have with the game. If you want, I know I'm going back on a tangent if you watch my other videos, but if you're wanting to play a Western adventure game and you want to travel around, Western Legends, and you got nothing, you just got time to chill, you're going to choose Western Legends. If you're going to play you want like that fantasy feel, you got Runebound is what I would pick. You want Cthulhu, dark gods, elder gods, monsters, you're running around the world fighting, you got, oh my God, my brain just isn't want to work. I keep hesitating here. Eldritch Horror / Arkham Horror. This is my Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, this is going to give you that's especially if you like the Star Wars Smuggler, Merchants and Marauders was my pirate one. I didn't mention that one, but it came up earlier on the last list. So Merchants and Marauders, if you want that pirate, Caribbean type game, this is the same thing. Firefly would be another one if you like that. Try that one out. My only issue with Firefly, and the reason I don't make my top 100 anymore is because it's a longer game. But yeah, Star Wars Outer Rim, yeah, man. Unless you get the lame character like Boba Fett, you can just have a great time with this game. Yeah. I mean, I hate Boba Fett. I had to play him last time. I was so mad. Anyways, this game, if you want that Star Wars Smuggler feel and you want that Merchants and Marauders feel, and you just want to sit around, like I said on all the other ones, I'm not going to harp on it too much on this one. As far as you want to kick back some adult beverages or just chill with your friends for 3 to 4 hours, this game can do it. The expansion fixes a lot of issues in the game as far as like travel issues. It also, to me, adds a lot more story-driven stuff and makes a lot more directional stuff a little bit better. But this definitely, the way it tells the story, I think this is why it goes higher on my list than Runebound and all that, and Merchants and Marauders, where they're all random. This actually has a story-driven thing where you can go on adventures and try to pull off certain goals. But there's not much I can really talk about in this one that I haven't talked about in the others that you do. This one is definitely, if you want to try it out and any of those other games I mentioned you like, and you like Star Wars, you're going to want to play this one. Outer Rim's pretty good.
Well, fortunately, we have some similarities because my number 20.
It's almost a crossover.
It's Star Wars Outer Rim. Yep. I can tell you, when we first played this game,
you hated the dice. You really hated the dice.
The game was like, he was getting all his stuff done, where I had to go all the way across the map to get my stuff done. And then the expansion,
I'm a better bounty hunter than you.
Yeah. And then the expansion fixed that. It is an adventure sandboxy game. Got some pickup and delivery. Like I said, I didn't like it at first until the expansion came with the warp holes that you can travel across the map without having to go all the way. Because when you travel across the map, you're not just moving spaces. You got to deal with, the patrols that are there. And if you're not good with the patrols, then you got to battle them. And that's where the dice was getting bad with me. You have dice resolution here. I'm not a big dice guy, but that was the issue I was having. But now that they have the expansion, I've liked the game way more now.
They did add some mitigation in the expansion.
Yeah, and of course it's a Star Wars theme, right? He's talking about Star Trek. Anyway, Star Wars. You gain points from fame by turning in bounties or pickup and delivery. And you got to deal with the patrols. You get points from there. You have your own ship. You can upgrade the mods. You can hire bounties to be on your ship, which give you some sort of special ability. And then I don't really remember how the game ends. That was the only thing I don't remember.
It's when someone gets, you choose a fame.
That's right,
points.
the fame. That's right.
It's 8 or 10 fame. 8's a short game, 10.
So getting the fame in the game is the bounties, the patrols, turning in bounties, and then ship upgrades, right? Don't those give you some fame?
Some can, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we both have some similarities there. One ranking away, I don't really think that makes a big difference.
Almost a crossover.
Almost crossover. So Star Wars Outer Rim.
Actually, I am going to go back and say a little bit on that, even though I just talked about it, only because you brought up something I did not bring up that I like so much in Merchants and Marauders, and it is in this one. The ability to upgrade your ship and do things to your ship that make you, yes, someone else could do the same thing, but it's much more prevalent in Outer Rim because you can't get the same upgrade I can, and you don't have the same ship I do. Right. My ship may be moving more. I did forget about that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually, I think that might be why it's a little bit higher. And in Star Wars, I mean, Yes, most people would argue Star Wars is fantasy. So when I said fantasy is Runebound, this is space fantasy or space opera, however you want to look at it.
I'm not going to argue Star Wars. I like it, but I'm not a big geeky Star Wars guy, so I can't really
and
argue
also you can't compare Star Wars to Star Trek. Yeah. Sci-fi, fantasy, but yeah. I'm more of a Trekkie than Star Wars.
You had it before Star. It was before.
I know,
Star Trek,
right? Well, it's because they got lame characters like Captain Picard in Star Trek, so that brings it down a little bit.
All right.
All right.
Number 20.
My number 20. This is my number one Western. Most people would argue it doesn't go straight Western. Like I said, if you want a straight Western feel, you're going to go with Western Legends. This is my number one Western, and probably my number one Dungeon Delve game, and probably the only Dungeon Delve game now to think of it. It's on my top 100. But yeah, number 20 this year, number 22 last year. It's Shadows of Brimstone. I love Shadows of Brimstone. I love, especially someone like me, that I can incorporate whatever I want to inside of Shadows of Brimstone. So I can throw in... if I want aliens with space guns and I want to throw that in there, I can. If I want samurai from the feudal Japan, I can throw that in. Of course, I'm a completionist, so we play with everything.
Yeah,
so
I watched y'all play it on Monday. It seemed like there's a lot to it.
It is and it isn't. Spoiler, if you haven't played it, it's just Warhammer Quest. I rank this as the same game. I played so much Warhammer Quest, so I think that's another reason it's ranked so high for me. And I'm talking about the original Warhammer Quest, I think from '96. I could be wrong. I just know it was around in that range. But all they did was take Warhammer Quest and literally change it into Flying Frog's dice system and make it a Western meets Cthulhu-esque. But like I said, you could put in what you want to put in there. It's definitely going to be Western meets Cthulhu-esque type thing. It's more like the Weird West. Can't think of the role-playing system that it reminds me of the most. But I do have people that we are waiting to play this again on Mondays. And they are like, the second y'all put that back on the table, you let me know, I'm going to be showing up. So I've already got a group of 5 now that's probably going to start playing this on Mondays.
It seems like the decisions y'all make affect certain game, the way the game state goes.
It doesn't. So it's very random. Like what's going to happen? Like, yeah, like, hey, we're going to travel to this town. Oh, that town burned down. Never mind, we're not traveling to that town. Or, oh man, we were traveling to that town and my character died on the way to town. Well, how'd your character die? Well, I rolled a dice and rolled a 1. I mean, really, he fell in a lava pit or something. But yeah, it can literally be something stupid like that. So there is a lot of randomness in the game, and your character can just die on a whim. But that's part of what you take into this game. Like, I've been walking around in the game with a broken arm for several adventures. I haven't found a doctor who can fix it. He was able to fix my internal injuries, but he can't fix my broken arm, and he can't cut off my tentacle mustache that I have.
Now, right?
You think, right? Well, probably because I keep injuring it again, you know. But good game. I do like this game a lot. I do play with everything. I have not been able to play with everything. Every time we play, I mix in one new bad guy or I mix in one new promo set.
You got most of it painted, huh? A lot?
No. That is my what do I want to call it? My war chest of shame. There's literally a chest where I've opened up every box of Shadows of Brimstone miniatures, and they're just in there because I couldn't. The boxes were taking up too much space.
All
so
the
now
stuff I've ever seen you play with is painted.
Yeah, that's stuff I try to get you painted.
Oh, you're talking about the chapters?
I probably have 15% of this painted.
Oh, wow.
Like, and they just came out with, I just got 4 new things. Like, oh my God.
Where do you store all of this stuff?
Like I said, there's a chest. And I literally have to take the things out of the box and just stack them in there. So there's just stacks of sprues with cards on them. Like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to... There's no way. There's no way I'm ever going to play with all this stuff. But I keep buying it because this is...
So you're telling me that this story is never going to end?
This story's never going to end. I am tired of playing the character I'm playing only because I keep playing the same character.
Oh, you can switch in the middle of the game?
I want to, but then I feel like I don't know how they're going to be able to carry me, but I'm sure they'll be able to. But now this one, if you want a dungeon delve, if you liked Warhammer Quest, the original... Matter of fact, I want to find my old Warhammer Quest because I've heard... You'll have to do some doctoring on the combat, but I've heard you can use the old Warhammer Quest stuff in this because the whole point is you can end up in any world. You can end up anywhere. You can end up on an alien spaceship. You can end up in feudal Japan. You can end up in a desolate planet, a jungle planet. Like, yes, I get it. That's the reason people say it's not a Western. But at the heart of it, you come back, you're in a Western. Or you could be doing the feudal Japan, which is in the Western time. So, I mean, well, actually, I guess before Western. But, yeah. But, yeah, it's the idea that you can put in this what you want to put in it. So, if you want, you can pull out all the Cthulhu stuff. You could do Cowboys and Indians. Like, there's actually just, like, I forgot what, it'd be the Blasted Lands stuff, but you could use, it's pretty much like a lot of it is Indian stuff. So, I mean, but yeah, there's not much more I could really say on this one. This is definitely, I never even thought of it as my number one Western until I saw, like, we were playing it again, and I was like, yeah, this is it. But this is not going to get you that Western feel. This is just going to be that Western adventure, Western dungeon delve. If you want the Western feel, you're going to have to go to Western Legends.
The weapons in there are kind of Western-y feeling, right?
Well, all of your weapons are, unless you find, like, I have an alien force field right now I can throw up. But other than that, yeah. And there was one game where I had an alien pistol, but every time I shot it, it was giving me radiation poisoning. So, so yes, if you stick with the Western stuff, you won't have as many penalties. But yeah, yep.
Cool. My number 19 game, and I'm just gonna say the name of it because I always want to try and get this to the table. When we do, it's something different every time. It's Glenmore 2 Chronicles. It's got that Rundell Ratchet type gameplay, and it's got these chronicles. And every time you add a chronicle to the game, it adds new elements. I remember last time it was like a dinosaur or a dragon or something on the Ratchet, remember?
No, they called it a dragon. It had to do with dragon racing. So it looked like a dragon, but it was things you put to your boat. Right. But it was boat racing.
That's
boat
right.
Racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
we didn't mess with it.
Yeah, we did.
Did we? I did it.
Somebody got points off of it.
I know I did it.
So it's tile placement and tile activation. So you got some farming and some commodity speculation in there. You're going to build this little community in your own tableau with these tiles that you're able to draft. Not so much drafting, but you're able to pick it based off of the ratchet movement and based off your turn order. So if you're last, you can just keep going until you get ahead of everybody.
Which you messed up in the first game because you just left me a ton of victory points. Yes. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And it's territory expansion, which allows for different paths to victory, right? So your path to victory is going to be different than everybody else's. Like I said, the turn order time track, the ratchet, rondelle, it's not many games that have that. There are a few, but this one, I'm not a big farming game. I do like some of the other ones, Caverna and those games, but this one combines the ratchet moving and the tile placement along with the farming part of it. And you have some rules and regulations on how to place your tiles out in front of you based off the way that your workers are there, based off the connectivity that you have. But Glenmore, I wish we got it more to the table. I really do enjoy it. I like to see the new chapters that we're able, because it's not just, that's why it's called Chronicles, right? It's got all these different chapters and things you can add to the game that add new elements. So.
Yeah, no, well, I talked about this one already. It was in my top 100. This was one, the second it got in my top 100, I knew. I was like, oh man, and I don't like Ratchet games. Like, this was the one that was like, yeah. Yeah, what you said, and the idea that you got to find a way to do it because you have to have the least tiles.
Yes.
You don't want the most.
You don't want the most, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's nothing, everything Brian said there, that's exactly
it. And we were like, it was a lot to it, right? There's a lot to this game when we
There's a lot more than you think when you look at it, because it's very simple actually. And even the Chronicles, like you said, it changes just a little bit, but it don't really add that much in. It's like you said, the dragon racing. Okay, you're racing, you're boat racing. Mm-hmm. Well, how do I do that? You just take a tile.
But you build you build it in your tableau.
Yeah,
I think somebody did it, if I remember right, because we worked.
It might have been Shannon, or maybe
I remember somebody.
I know
had
I didn't.
A long river on there.
Yeah, you do. That's right. If you build the river, I did forget about that. That's right. Yeah.
So, that's number 19, Glenmore 2 Chronicles. If you like Ratchet games, that's my favorite one.
Yeah. So far, I think that is my favorite. Yeah. My number 19, new to my list. This may be my number one Awakened Realms game. I don't know. Like, I thought it was Lords of Hellas at first, and then I was like, I don't know how I forgot about this game. So I don't remember what I said in Lords of Hellas, but I should have remembered this. If not, if I said that it wasn't, this is my number one. I'm pretty sure. I can't think of any game ahead of it. But I knew just seeing this game, hadn't even played it yet, I was like, I'm going to love this game. I know I'm going to love this game. New to my list, number 19, Etherfields. I love deck building. I say it all the time. And when I heard, wait, deck building with storytelling, I will admit this is a rough game. And the deck building, oh my God, is unique and different.
Did you look a lot of stuff up in the rulebook on it?
That was if I had any complaint, I think this would be higher. If I didn't feel like I am rule book surfing so much while I'm playing this game. Every time when I think I have the game down, hold on. And a lot of it's not the rules' fault. A lot of it is they're being vague, or it's not being vague. They're being direct in the rule book because they don't want to spoil something that's going to happen in the game or something that you may come up against. But because they're being very direct, there's weird interactions where you got to look it up and hold on, let me figure this out. And so many times, a lot of times when I'm looking stuff up, I just have to go back to the rule book and go, this rule says this rule says this. That means this is what happens. But because those rules aren't next to each other, it takes me looking it up to figure out that this is how they interact. But no, I do like this game a lot. I only played it solo. I do want to play it multiplayer, but I don't. I'm in this weird...
It might make you not like it as much, right?
Well, no, I don't think it would make me like it any less, but I want to experience all the story.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want someone else to experience something but that's me being selfish, I get it. But then I also want to be able to experience that story with other people. And I think that's going to be the replay value to me. But I also want people's help because there's a little mechanic in there that I forget about it all the time, where you get these little triangles and they have art on them. That art could be anywhere in the game. It could be on the back of one of your cards. It could be on the front of one of your cards. It could be on the board. There's no way I'm going to find all that stuff. It's just never going to happen.
Right.
And that unlocks part of the story. So it's like...
Is it board square tiles or is it...
It's square tiles. The closest thing that I know that you played, at least with me, is Destiny's. Is the closest it's close to. Matter of fact, it's almost like Destiny's in every way, as far as the board. You move to spots.
Not like a book, like My Father's Work. It's not a book.
No. It's a layout. I haven't played, so we'll see. Tainted Grail style. And you haven't played Seventh Continent, I don't think. That was one we just played this year, so I got to see how that ranks for me. But this one, deck building, love it. The way the deck building is, the deck's rough though, man. This isn't like a normal deck builder where you want to go through your deck. You do not want to go through your deck in this one. The more you go through your deck, the more it hurts. But you have to go through your deck in order to pull stuff off.
But just like any other Waking Realms game, it's probably got miniatures, right?
Yeah, it's miniature. There's so many miniatures, so much to this game too. I haven't even delved deep into this game yet. Now, I do like this game a lot. Even in its hardness, and I guess theme-wise, you got to be into the whole weird dreams thing and weirdness. But I do want to play this multiplayer. But the other part is, I worry playing multiplayer of not being able to continue. I know they say you can just play it without playing multiplayer and continue in the game.
Oh, so you can die. Game over.
Well, more of if I'm playing and I want to play, but you're not here, I can continue playing, but then you're missing out on some of the story too. And so I think I'll play it multiplayer with. There's no way I'm gonna hit everything in solo, and then multiplayer that'll be my re-experience because then I'm sure I'll hit stuff I've already hit before, but re-experiencing it through the eyes of the players that I'm playing it with.
Would it be the same story? Does it change if you did?
I think the dreams would be the same. Now, as far as your deck building and stuff, there's no way. The way they deck build in this game, this is unique, and I'll bring it up. I know this is talking about it too long, but the deck that you deck build from is like probably 150 cards, if I had to guess, maybe even 200. And there's no tableau that you build from. Like, there's nothing out there that you build into. So if you go to build experience and it says you can add cards to your deck, you're just drawing 2 or 3 off the top randomly, and then you buy some of those and add them to your deck. Maybe, if you want them, they might not be your play style. So it's like, oh, I just drew a bunch of cards, wasted experience. I'm not buying these.
Right.
So, or you may be experiencing something in a dream, and it goes, add this card to your deck. Well, I don't want that in my deck. Well, that's a shame. And there's no way to get rid of stuff out of your deck that I've seen. I think there's certain cards that'll let you do things. Yes, this is probably my number one Awakened Realms game, and it's probably because of the deck building. And as I've already said several times in this, I'm really into the storytelling stuff right now. So experiencing this story. I will say this one has an app where I don't have to go look up everything in the book. Thank you for the app. I'm glad I can just put the numbers into the app and read it there. I don't have to have a book that I have to keep constantly pulling out from.
You already don't like reading rule books as it is.
Yeah, I hate reading. I'm an Aggie. We don't like reading. I think the app even does the voiceover. I don't remember if the app does a voice. I know it does on the beginning. I don't know if it does in thing. I usually do read that, but I do like the app. It's just faster for me to put a number in. I don't have to keep constantly feel like I'm opening a book and flipping through pages. But yeah, number 19, Etherfields. Number one Awakened Realms game for sure.
Cool. My number to 18, I'm just going to say the name, Anachrony Infinity Box. This is a big game with big player boards. You get a lot of people playing this game, and it's a table hog.
Yeah.
And to me, it's very heavy Euro-y. It's pretty Euro-y. I'm not real big into Euro games, but this is one of my favorites. There's a lot of modules to this game. Worker placement, tableau building. Obviously, it focused on certain resources to do certain actions. The theme, come on, asteroid impacting preparation, like you're prepping for an asteroid to end it.
Time travel, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of buildings, a lot of building combos you can do for projects. The great thing about it is you can reach back in time to supply yourself with
resources,
with past resources. But there's a negative for that. But if you can figure out how to outweigh the negatives for the positive for that reaching
you just got to go back in time and resupply those resources, make them available to you.
Yeah. So that's the cool thing about the mechanic in this game. There's not many games where you can go back in time and get resources that you need for your past self. But it does give a negative victory points or negative something to the game that if you don't get back in time when that asteroid hits, and people can speed the game up. So, but yeah, and it's resource management. You got to get water for this. You got to get this resource for that. But preparing for an asteroid impact, come on, that's like every movie in the mid '90s, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I mean, come on,
disaster movie.
Yeah,
right?
Disaster movie. So what's cool about it is that the world is already desolate by some sort of explosion that happened, right? And you got to have your workers have these exosuits.
Trying to remember.
Yeah, to just even go out into the world. And if you can't really get the resources you need, you can always go visit the middle part of the board, which is like the capital or whatever, and get the resources. But we haven't been able to get to the table much, just because of the teach of it. It's a very long teach. There's a lot to it. Like I said, if you want table hog, this one's going to take up the table, especially with 4 players. But it's best with 4 players because it doesn't feel very racy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you like a Euro game where you can travel back in time and get resources. That kind of helps with the random part of the game, but it does give you some negative aspects. But if you can balance that negative, positive thing for your worker. Anyways, that's my number 18. I believe we're on 18. Yeah, Anachrony Infinity Box.
Yeah, this one, yeah, I like it a lot. This one...
It can get pretty rough. If you don't get the resources you need, you get stuck.
I don't know why it's hard to teach. I agree with you. It's hard to teach, but if you really think about it, it shouldn't be. If you think about a normal worker placement, you're placing and getting resources.
Well, if you remember, you got to wake them up. Remember, your guys are asleep.
You do have to do that, but it's just still, you worker place to get resources. Well, you do that in a worker placement game anyways. And if you don't do something else with those resources, you're going to get negatives.
Yes.
If you don't spend those resources. So if you think about it, it would be, it's simple. It's simple worker placement, but it's not. And my big thing I like about it, this is a game I like a lot too. I like the way you can each get these different chits that are basically worker placement spots or things that you can put on your board that are unique to everyone. Like there's only like 1 or 2 of each of them in the stack, and they might not, and the stack's so diverse and thick that the idea that we end up with the same ability is very. Actually, I don't know if there's even multiples. I think they are all unique.
I don't remember if each player board is asymmetric.
They are.
They are. Yes.
Well, you can play with the one that's not, or you can play with them
Okay.
being asymmetric. We usually play with the asymmetrics because I like asymmetrics. And like you said, we haven't even played with any expansions. I just played with the base game. I have the Infinity Box. And I haven't even played with all the other stuff. Like,
yeah, we need to bust that one out.
Yeah.
Because it's a good worker placement game, but it allows you to do the travel back in time.
Yep. Great game. Cannot argue with that one. My number 18, been on my top 100 since I played it 2 years ago. It's 18 now, 34 last year, 86 the year before that. I know why it moved up a lot for me, and it was because of one thing I always argued about in this game. This is my favorite Ryan Lockett game. It's Near and Far. Pretty sure it's right behind my head, actually. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we were looking at above and below. Like I said, I'm into storytelling games right now. And even this one, even though I played with somebody I could tell knew the story and they just ran out there, I know why it moved up so high for me. Originally, it was so low because every time I played it, the person that was playing this game with me would make us play the same scenario over and over again.
So if you play it and you play the scenario already, it's already a scenario you would know.
Kinda. The story could be from different spots, and your selections could be different, or your dice roll could change things.
I got you.
But and one thing that I thought you would not like about it, but they fixed in the expansion, is they have a way you can get a dice that mitigates a lot of your dice roll randomness, which I do like that a lot. That, to me, biggest change, and they made one of the locations better. Yes, if you have trouble without the expansion makes, I want to say it's the inn. No, it's not the inn. It's a spot where you can go get a dice, you can do a bunch of stuff, whereas before it wasn't that good. You hardly ever visited it. But the reason it moved up so high for me is we kept playing the first scenario. In the first scenario, it wasn't so much as the story was always the same, which it was, but it was also very random what you got. Whereas in the later games, or just the random maps, if you play on them, you can kind of know. Like if I'm trying to get a blue flag, because I need a blue flag for my resource, well, I know what the blue flag guys are all about, so I can, if I hit something in a story, I can be like, if I make this choice, now I'm going to have to make that dice roll and get skills to be able to do that, but if I make this choice, it's probably going to give me the blue flag I need. Whereas if I want to be aggressive, this is probably going to give me the red flag, or whatever, you know. So just that alone moved it up once I was able to see that, because playing with just, you just randomly got a blue flag, what did that have to do with the story? That was really frustrating to me. But once I played and saw how deep this game was, I love the storytelling. Yes, it is a race to get out there because everybody wants to hit the story, because everybody wants to see what they got in the story. So it is a race to get out there and hit the stories. But if you don't want to mess with the story and you don't want to have to dabble with that, you don't want to have to get that random factor of trying to figure out how to get those resources, there is a way in the game to just stay in town, and you're going to have to go outside and do some stuff eventually, but you don't have to worry about the story. You can get the resources through town. You can figure out the way to get trade and use that trade to trade in to get those resources so that you can build the things that are giving you victory points. So, I mean, just the way every time I played it different. Yes, I rush out there. I usually get about 3 of the stories before they're all taken up, but then there's ways you can build a trade route, and that can give you a bunch of victory points. And then inevitably someone's going to jump into your trade route and make it where you don't get as many victory points. Well, whatever. We see what you're doing there. But now also the expansion added the mining, to where you can go off and go mining for resources and victory points. I do like that a lot too. I haven't dabbled in that because I thought it was a better change. I hated the way the mining worked before. I thought it was so stupid. The way it works now, hey, I can use my hearts to go out and adventure and set up tents there and get victory points and stuff there, or I can go mining and set up my tents and do that and get victory points and get resources. Great game. Definitely my favorite Ryan Lockett game. I think it's going to stay in my top for a bit. Don't see that it's going to change any of that. I know you haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately.
Yep.
All right. My number 17 is a more recent game that's come out, pretty recent, and we've played it. You've played it a bunch of times, unfortunately, and you've played it solo. You have a video of a solo.
I know what you're talking about already.
And it's a recent game, and he keeps saying it's similar to another game. If I agree with him that it's similar to another game, it is that other game Killer, right? So my number 17 is Earth.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
He's saying that it's similar to Wingspan. Earth, let's say it is similar. It's my Wingspan Killer. I already didn't like Wingspan to begin with. Now Earth is like.
I'm surprised this is high up on your list.
Yeah, the thing is the theme is wildlife and outdoors. Why not? I mean, obviously birds.
Beautiful game.
Yeah. Hand management, tableau builder. I mean, you get to do something on other players' turns. You pick your what you want to plant, soil, whatever you want to do on that turn, and then players get to do other things. So there really is no downtime for other players.
Yeah.
And it does feel very racy sometimes because in order to get certain victory points to attract a certain animal, you got to try and get those cards or get those things in your tableau. But like I said, you get the tableau builder. You have 15 cards or
16?
16?
4x4, yeah, 16.
Yeah, so 16 cards is what ends the game. And if somebody's putting cards down, you're going to get behind because you're not buying any cards. You're not putting anything down. Now, there's other ways to get victory points in the game. You can compost your plants that you have there. Wingspan has the eggs. If you're a big Wingspan fan, this has the mushrooms or the plants kind of grow, and you kind of stack these little growth things to represent growth. It's kind of like the eggs. And then you can spin the growth to do whatever, just like the eggs. But if you liked Wingspan, you're probably going to like Earth. I wasn't a big fan of Wingspan, but Earth kind of streamlined a lot of the stuff that I didn't like in Wingspan. And it's just the theme does it for me. I was a big outdoors person, big plant person. So Earth is a very simple game. Like I said, what's great about it is other people get to play on your turn. So your turn there, you pick something, and then they get the lesser of what the option gives you, and that might help you. Especially in the game where you're trying to get more victory points than somebody else to try and attract certain animals to your habitat you're building. So
great choice. I spoiler, it won't be on my list because I cut it off at December 31st and we didn't get it till after.
Right.
But I do think this will be in my top 100. I do love this game a lot. It is. It's a great game. Everything you said, everything that needs to be said about it. Yeah, people compare it to Wingspan. I compare it more to Wingspan meets Arc Nova. Like I said, what do I say all the time? It's like Arc Nova, Wingspan, and
you just don't have the little point tracker.
And Race for the Galaxy had a baby.
Yeah.
Or really more like Terraforming Mars, Arc Nova. Terraforming Mars, the card game. That's what I was pointing over here because we have our Ares Expedition right here. Terraforming Mars, the card game, and Arc Nova and Wingspan
had a baby. Right? It has tags, right?
Yeah. It's got the tags. The reason I compare it to Arc Nova is the randomness of the deck. Like that deck can, I think you were in that game. We were looking for bears or something. We were looking for something.
To attract the bear?
That was a different one. There was one we were trying to find brown cards, and it was like, just couldn't draw them. Just couldn't draw them, man.
And it's a big deck and a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Just like Arc Nova and Wingspan.
So the randomness for Arc Nova on that, and then the way Terraforming Mars has the action selection is the card game, which is Race for the Galaxy, but it's got that action selection where you're doing something while other people are doing something. That's the reason I bring that into it. And then Wingspan, the reason people compare it to Wingspan, it's just the cash. It's the eggs and the cash cards from, or the cash resources from Wingspan. And here you're doing pods and growth. That's why. Right. But I agree with you. Most people are calling it a Wingspan killer. I just compare it to those three having it. I think it's closer more to Arc Nova / Terraforming Mars, the card game. But that's the reason people compare it to Wingspan. But yeah, no, it's a great tableau.
If you have the play mats, it's a beautiful game.
Yes.
And the play mats just add
artwork's beautiful. I know a lot of people don't like still shots. I guess I'm just not an artistic type, but this also shots of the world, man, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, everything you said about the game's great, though. There's not much more I can say about that.
Earth.
Yep. My number 17. I have loved this game from the get-go, and the new edition. It's 17 now. It was 24 before that. It was in my top 10
at one time.
At one time, I love this game. I argue it's not a civ building game, but I guess it kind of is to a degree. But Clash of Cultures. I love Clash of Cultures. This the WizKids version does clean up some a little bit of the randomness. It's still got the randomness when it comes to the dice rolling and what you can get for victory points, but it does clean up the victory point gap a little bit more on some of the cards, but I love Clash of Cultures. The main thing I love about it, it's so silly, and it's actually the thing I hate about it as much as I love it, is the tech tree or the skill tree, because there are so many diverse options you can pick on there, and that's like choosing your player powers. It's like building your player powers for your tech tree. But that tech tree, half the time you don't even remember everything you have. If you unlock a lot of stuff, you're like, wait, oh crap, I have +1 combat from this, or oh crap, I forgot that when I do this, I'm able to do this, or I have this ability, I can do this. There's no way you're going to remember it all if you unlock a lot of it. That is what's so frustrating, but it's what I love about it. I love the idea that I can play my faction towards whatever tech it is and go that way. And then especially with the expansion, which the WizKids has in it already, giving you your own little unique tech tree that you get to build on and do stuff with. And then other than that, it's got the civ building for area control. I'd say it's more like 4X than it's probably
because you have to turn tiles over.
Yeah, so I'd say, well, God, see, I always call them civ games. I guess they're not really civ games. I guess it's really 4X is really what their terminology. So maybe it is in that term, in that degree. But like last time, played the Peaceful Aztecs doing their happy little sacrifices. Never went to war. Y'all were the only ones that went to war.
I like the game area control especially, but okay, especially the tech tree stuff. What you're talking about? Oh, I need to get over there. I can get over there by water. Oh, let me start establishing boats.
Yep.
And if you can get over there and get to a certain area of water and start producing on another area of the board, it gives you more points and gives you the area control aspect of it. But then again, you're kind of limited to the number of units you have, right?
You are, and they do that so that it doesn't get as brutal.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like was the pirate thing, or the pirates or the pirate ships that were in the water.
Yeah, because they could shut that down, and they were doing that so that I can tell you for a fact you probably haven't played the Vikings before. The Vikings can do some crazy stuff if you don't have those pirates around. No. I could go off on this game, but I played it a lot, and I will say if you played the original and didn't like it because of points, because the points were so skewed in the original, definitely try the WizKids version. They cleaned that up a little bit more. I've noticed the points, I want to say, went down quite a bit, and it's they made it to where it's same way, same mechanic. You're going to get the card. You can either use that card to get the victory points for whatever it's doing, or you can use the card for combat in some way. But yeah, this is definitely, I don't know if this probably was my biggest civ game.
The tech tree thing can get kind of overly complicated if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, because you'll get stuff that you don't need. You'll get like a government that doesn't even help you, or something that's the way I felt about it. It's like, okay, I really don't need this right now, or I don't really care.
There's a lot of the tech tree you don't. There's some of that stuff
But when you're looking at it and you don't have any of it, you're like, okay, what direction do I go here?
And it's usually not until somebody pulls something out on you that you're like, that does what now?
Yeah.
Man, I should have taken that. That would have been awesome. Yeah, I said my number one civ was Ascendancy. I didn't think I remembered Clash of Cultures. I just, like I said, I'm torn between whether this is a civ game or a 4X game. Maybe that's the same thing. In my mind, I just look at it as different because this feels more like a 4X game to me. It's maybe my number one 4X game. We'll see, but yep, that's my number 17 for sure. Clash of Cultures.
Cool. Really, really good game.
Yeah.
It combines a lot of aspects, area control and tech building. Mm-hmm. All right, my number 16. Yeah. When I first walked into this joint, this is the first game you put on the table. You're like, I'm going to play this great game. And I did not like it at all. It's one of the first games he introduced to me, and it's one of the hardest of the Garfield games to learn. It's Paladins of the West Kingdom.
It wasn't the first game, but yeah, first one that I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It combines open drafting and worker placement, right? The artwork and the theme does it for me, the knights and the kings, but man, it was just kind of an overwhelming game because I wanted to do everything. And it's one of those games where you have your own little board.
You can do everything, but you got to dabble.
Yeah. So you have to kind of go in one direction on this game. But there's so many options. You can't do anything. You have to focus on one or two things. And obviously, in Garfield games, there's a lot there to break down. But to me, that's one of the hardest ones to pick up on as far as like the drafting part of it. And your own little board. Of course, they do have an expansion to it, and I never really dwelled into the expansion part of it.
Oh, it does. It allows you to do more of that. be able to dabble in other stuff and not have to go as deep. Yeah, it opens up a lot.
But if you like the knights and the kings, hiring the knights to protect the city that you're just established or whatever,
building a government.
Yeah, building a government. That's the type of game, but be aware that it does get kind of crunchy with your own little board and what direction you want to go. Because I tried to delve in everything, and I was way behind, and I was like, man, this game's terrible. But then when I started understanding how the game was and started understanding how Garfield games work, then it really became one of my favorite ones out of all of them. And obviously, the more crunchier the game it is now for me, the more I like it. So it is kind of crunchy.
Your favorites? So we ain't gonna see your Raiders on there?
I don't know. It might.
You say your favorite?
I might. It might. I don't know. Who knows?
But no, yeah. I ain't gonna harp on the Garfield games anymore. Like I've already, if you watch my other videos, every time I hit a Garfield game, I talk about how great they are. I love them. Yeah, they're great. Garfield games, till they do me wrong, which hope they never will, because I love getting more games from them. But yeah, they're an instant buy for me, instant back. and
I've asked to play it several times, but it just seems like the right crowd. You got the right people, right?
I don't want to pull the same thing. Like when I throw it to you too soon, I don't want to throw it too soon to other people.
But it's probably one of the hardest ones, right? Would you agree it's the harder ones?
I think Wayfarers is harder, but Wayfarers is more sandbox.
Oh, really?
I think Wayfarers is actually a harder one, but I think it's more sandbox.
Yeah. That's it. Number 16, Paladins. If you like knights, kings, and establishing government.
Great pick. My number 16. My number 16 used to be in my top 10. Well, Terraforming Mars dropped out of my top 10. I don't think this is from anything on the game. This is still a great game. I love this game. I think this is just because other games moved up there. I don't think this had anything to do with the game itself. I know some people would say, oh, because Ark Nova. No, this and Ark Nova are totally different. If you want a resource management, heavy, deep resource management game, Terraforming Mars is a great game. Ark Nova is not, in my opinion, a resource management. It just uses the same card mechanics, and whatnot. But I think this one only fell out because of, like I said, I think other games just I enjoy playing a little bit more, or
they're both really long. Ark Nova and Terraforming Mars.
But this one, great game. I don't see it falling anywhere down. I love this game. I've only played with the last expansion once, and I love that too.
That's the government one, or
yeah. I know you're a huge fan of the government one. This game's a great game. I want to put it to the table more if it wasn't for length of time. That's literally teaching everything, because I won't play without. No, this game would not be in my top 10.
We tried it one time. Remember?
Yeah,
we played.
I played base game again, going to the past, and no. Too random, and the only time, and this is where I know everyone says you have to draft this game. I'm sorry, no, you do not draft this game. It turns into just a big old hate fest draft, and it adds way more time that doesn't need to be there.
So you don't like Preludes that much?
I do not like Preludes. I feel like it's one of those expansions. Well, it's because of the type of player I am. I feel like it's one of those expansions I will not play without. You have to have it in there. Mm-hmm. I feel it's too swingy sometimes, and I do feel you have to draft the expansion or Preludes. If you're going to draft anything in this game, you draft the Preludes, because all it turns into on a draft is you grab the first card that you know is great for you, and then every card after that is just hate drafting to something that you're going to have to choose not to buy anyways. Right. And
so we just randomly get some, right? How do we?
Yeah, that's the way the base game is, and I want to say it's the way the regular game is. The drafting is actually a variant. It actually does. It's not one of those games. I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked in the rule book in a while. I'm pretty sure it's one of those games that says the drafting is a variant.
Okay.
It's not, oh, now it's your experience, draft it. No,
I got you.
It's a variant. Now, like, you can play it. If you're playing on the app, play with the draft. Why not? Because the computer's not going to hate draft you. And there's too much going on the app for you to pay attention to what you need to hate draft anyway. So, but I've seen this thing just delve into hate drafting and just adding way too much time. I've seen people who are analysis paralysis on the drafting because they're trying not to send you something that's too good.
You gotta heat the planet up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I don't like about Preludes, and that's the last thing I'll say about the game because there's not really much I can talk about in this game. By this point, you've either played it or you haven't, and you know whether you like it or not. And it is one I would say try it first. As much as everyone's saying it's a great game, I mean, I want to say it's. I don't remember if I got number 2 or number 3. I think I got number 3.
Player's choice.
Player's choice for Dice Tower. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was number 3. But it's been number 2 for forever, and then it was number 3 this time. Like for player's choice, people picking this game. But you do want to try this. It's a very, as far as before you buy it, because it is a very crunchy resource management game. It's just unique how it does it. But yeah, the only thing I don't like about Preludes, and I'm going to go off on that, is I'm a person that likes to build. And I get it. Preludes is getting rid of those boring first few turns where you're having to build something. But I like those turns. And that's fine. I'll play with Preludes. Like I said, I feel like I won't play the game without Preludes. I just think you have to definitely make sure you draft it, because if you do not draft it, I played it once where it wasn't drafted, and I don't know if it actually tells you to draft or not. Like I said, I don't like reading rule books. If it says to draft it, then it does have to be, because I have seen someone just get all the money cards at the beginning, and then they're able to buy everything they need, and then you just get a bunch of stuff that doesn't help you. But it is a great game. I don't think there's much more I can say about it. Yeah, Terraform Mars is great.
I won't play without the expansion.
Yeah, I do feel like all the expansion. Venus and the boards are my favorite expansion. The boards changing up the achievements.
The trade routes are pretty good too. I like the trading thing.
The trading one, I feel like it has. So the trade and the government, I feel like are ones. They are great expansions. They are good. I'm not saying putting anything down on them at all. They are great. They're going to add a lot of extra time, but I feel like they're give or take. Like, I feel like you can literally play the game. While I won't play without them, I feel like you can play the game without them. Like, you can play, or not without them, I should say. You can play the game and not even dabble with them. Like, Barbara wants to play, this is her favorite game.
Terraform Mars.
Yeah, Terraform Mars is her favorite game. And she don't want to play with the government thing. She's like, I don't want to mess with the government. It's like, you don't have to. You can literally not do anything with the government at all. Like,
it's another way to get victory points.
Yeah, it's just another route to go. And anytime you're adding that to a game and without bloating it, hey,
but it also affects the way the government wants Mars to be. Like,
yes.
Yeah. So
you don't want to heat the planet up immediately. That was on number 17, right? No, 16. Yeah, number 16, Terraform Mars.
My number 15, the theme does it really great for me. The Great Wall. Come on, control ancient clans of China, trying to defend against Mongolian hordes. I mean, what other game does that? And you didn't get to build the Great Wall. It's kind of a semi-co-op where everybody wants to win, but then you got to kind of co-operatively defend the hordes from coming in town, because then you'll get the negative victory points, the blame, or whatever they call it in that game. It's very asymmetric with the cards, and the leaders create combos and new gameplay for replayability. So the replayability in this game is really high. I like the worker placement aspect of it. It does have a worker placement ability on it. When you worker place somewhere, and this is kind of the co-op-y also part of the game, you don't necessarily immediately get the resource. You have to wait for the whole section to be filled up before you can actually get the resource. So if you're wanting gold or if you're wanting wood, you worker place over there. As you go around the table, everybody else, if they want gold or wood, they have to put there. And then once the section gets filled up, that's whenever you get your resource. And then you have to have a balance between unit. I call it unit secrecy, or what unit you're going to put out there as far as military, because you do have these hordes that are moving in on China, the places where you're actually trying to get the resources. You have to recruit these different military units, and they do different things. You have guys with bow and arrows that sit on the wall, on the Great Wall, and shoot down towards the enemies. And you have guys that are on horses. You have military units that are just your regular military guys that can come out and knock off some of the hordes. But you let the hordes get over the wall, they break into the wall, you get shame. It's called shame. So everybody gets shame, and it's negative victory points. It takes away from your points at the end of the game. The game is very point-sality. There's a lot of points. You get points for a lot of different things. You get to build the Great Wall. You're working on building the Great Wall cooperatively, but then at the same time you have your own track or victory point track that you're trying to get by taking out some of these hordes. And you get victory points for taking out the hordes. You get special abilities. You also get resources when you take out hordes. You don't have to get resources directly from the resource houses that are in China, you can take out these hordes that give you the gold you need or the wood or the stone you need to build your units, to build the Great Wall. And at the end of the game, it's whoever has the most victory points. There is objective cards that, like, what the king or whatever wants or the leader wants you to do. You can go that route. It gives you some objectives to look at. So the Great Wall is one of those co-op-y, semi-co-op-y games. So I know you recently bought it.
Yes, I just finally got my edition in because I was like, okay, I got to get it. Like this made my top 100. I want to own my top 100 games. Yeah, you said everything. I just remember what it's called in Reavers, by the way, terror.
Oh.
When you said shame, for some reason, my brain went terror. No, everything he said, I think I said pretty much the same things. This is one of those semi-co-op games that does semi-co-op right, because me and you always get into this argument all the time, or discussion all the time, I should say, really.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming.
But about semi-co-ops and how someone could just tank a semi-co-op. This one, they can't really tank. I mean, they can, but
it's going to hurt them. It's going to affect them.
Yeah. I think this one does it very well. This one, and the combo puller offer in me, and the engine building player in me loves the way the combos work.
And it has that same type of thing that Reavers has, where you can either use an active ability of your leader or use the passive ability.
Yeah. This is a beautiful game. This was one you bought. I wanted to back it for so long. You bought it, brought it to the table, and I knew then. I was like, okay.
And some of the abilities are amazing, right? Like some of the abilities and combos you can pull off are just.
I had that one where I was just like a hair from infinite comboing each turn. It's like, man, are we doing this right? And you looked it up, and I was, and I was like, God, this is for sure. No, this is a great one, and even with semi co-op, I know that scares a lot of people off. This one does it pretty well, and. It is a table hog.
The mechanic is there. Like, there's not many games that have this type of mechanic where you have to fill up resources, but even if you take out some of the hordes, you get the resources and the rewards from those guys.
Yeah, I remember thinking there was so many different ways to do things in this. It was great. Yeah.
Anyways, that's number 15.
Yep.
Great Wall.
My number 15, we just talked about already. I knew it was going to be higher up. This is one that came up to me yesterday. I was like, oh, I haven't talked about this game yet. All right. It's Anachrony. We already talked about it.
It's not that far away, so we do have some symmetry there a little bit.
I do like this game a lot. Everything you said, I mean, I can repeat it, but there's no reason.
Well, you can add to it. I mean, I don't
think there was much to add to it. You pretty much said everything. It's one of those games where I want to keep adding more stuff, but I still have not explored everything that's with just the base. I think the guys I played last time, I did not like them. I don't think it was just not my play style, but I think they are more hinged toward the expansions. Okay. Because I think they're supposed to dabble with one of the other ones, but there's not really much more I can add to it. Everything Brian said about it was great, and it's just hard to get to the table because it is a hard teach, even though every time when I'm sitting there telling people about what you're going to do in this game, you're going to work or place to request resources from the past, and then if you don't replace those resources, you're going to get negatives. That's every worker placement game. I sound so silly when I say it, but the way this game does it is just different.
I think people have a hard time where your workers are asleep versus when they're awake, because you don't always have. You don't always have them available.
Yeah, there is that. And of course, also, this game moves up just a little bit for play-wise, just for the stupid mechs. Because if you don't have the mechs and you're supposed to put them on this little cardboard thing, but having the plastic mechs is so silly that I get to slot it in. But it's silly but stupid. But
so what are the games?
Yeah. The asymmetrics of the character, of the factions. Like I said, it's all been said. If anything I had to say, I don't like, it feels real short. But it also feels like another one of those games, I know I mentioned multiple times in my top 100, that when it ends, it's because we're about to start doing stupid stuff. Like, it's got to end now. Right, otherwise we're about to go off and do... Yeah. Now, last time I played, I like I said, I don't know if it wasn't my play style or what, that faction, I tanked that.
Couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, I was like, what? Am I playing? Yeah. But no, yeah. Like I said, it's all been said here. Anachrony, number 15.
My number 14 is another area control game. Big surprise, huh? What do you know? He busts this out, and as he's opening up the box, he goes, "Oh, this is a $350 game." was like $350 game. Why are we playing this?
It was for a while. Yeah.
And so we busted out, and I was like, man, this is a great game. Battle for Rokugan, if I'm saying that right. It's a war game, but you have to outwit your opponent. Secret unit deployment with bluffing, hand management with variable player powers, and it's an easy teach, and it's not too long of a game, right? It's not very long at all. But area control, you have these chits that you use for your power, and you kind of bluff people into thinking you're going one direction, and then you can go a different direction and go around the map and try and take over certain areas. Some areas are not able to be taken over because they're wasteland, whatever, right? But we were playing it. You're like, we went to one area and I started going over there. You're like, wait, that's my area.
What are you doing in my area?
Yeah, what are you doing in my area? So it bluffs them though, right? So it makes you think that you're coming over there, but it's just like one of your chits. It's a ranking system, right? You have like 0 to 12 or something, right? Isn't it like that?
I think it's 1 through 5, and you have a few bluffs. I think it only goes up to 5.
It goes up to 5.
Is it 5? I don't remember the numbers, but yeah, you're right.
You have another guy. You have like a guy who can move around like a ninja guy or something.
They can attack the actual and take it without having to fight.
You have several other chits that are not ranked, and they're more powerful than others. So it's kind of a bluffing game of area control. So it combines area control with a war game that's kind of bluffing, and it's not very long. But the fact that the chits are cardboard, it seems
that like does make it.
It seems like it can be a problem because you can tell what if it gets scratched up. Oh, that's his ninja guy.
I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, like in coin holders or something. I talked about this.
That's already. The only downfall of the game is if they get scratched up, you're gonna know. Oh, that's
your raise. That's your raise.
Yeah,
there's
no bluffing.
Something.
Yeah, there's no bluffing with the. So I don't know why the game got such a high cost price. I guess they quit making it.
It's out of print. It's a good game, as you saw. I think we've seen it come down now. It's still in like the 80 range though.
Oh, really?
It's still pretty expensive. I didn't know that until we were sitting down to play it, and I was like, holy crud.
Yeah.
Why is this game? Because I went to go get it from my top 100. Yeah.
But if you like a war game with bluffing, real easy.
Yep.
Easy teach, easy play.
Really is. Pretty much everything you said, I also said the same things. It was in my top 100.
Oh, really?
A little lower. But it's a good game. This was one, I said it before, I did not expect to like this game at all. I got it on the shelf. I was like, I'm not even going to play this. This doesn't look like anything's my cup of tea. And then Barbara bought it, and she was like, let's play it. And I was like, wow. And then that's when I went to go order it, and it was already out of print. Like, no. No, it's a great game. I might have to buy myself a copy because I just had Barbara's copy, but I'm gonna have to. That was like I said, it was in my top 100, so I went to go buy it, and it was like $300. Oh look, here's a used one, $180. Come on.
Yeah, it's gonna have scratches on the
Yeah, like I already had a problem with it being used.
Maybe they'll come out with an anniversary edition or something.
I keep hoping either a re-implementation. Of course, I don't know if I want a re-implementation either because it's a beautiful game too. It's very beautiful. It's very simple. I mentioned the rule book's like 4 or 5 pages. It's not very much into it at all. It's only not high on mine because I'm not really big into the area control, but this is one I love. And it's always a great time. I've only known one person who played this and we'll never play it again. We'll throw it in his face all the time. But he did have a really bad experience.
It's not very crunchy either. It's very easy.
No, it's not. It's very easy, very fast, it's a good game. And I want to say 6 players. It may even go up to 8. I think it's 6 though. But it doesn't add extra time. More players does not really add that much extra time in this game. So it's however many different factions there are. So I think there's 7. But I could be wrong.
That's 14. Battle for Rokugan.
My number 14. I'm not going to say it's my favorite co-op game. I did just play it yesterday, though. And it fell out of my top 10. It was number 10 last year. Now, it wasn't number 10 the year before. So I think that was just, I was playing it a lot that time because it's 14 this year, 10 last year, 22 before that. But Spirit Island. I love Spirit Island. This is not, as much as it is a co-op game, this is not an easy to teach or easy to learn game. but it is very much a puzzle game. People are like, why? Like, I always call it the Catan in reverse. It's instead of you trying to expand out in Catan, you're trying to get rid of the people who are expanding out and the invaders. I was trying to think of what they're called. But the learning curve on this is so high. Like,
it's a crunchy, rough game.
Every time I teach this game, the odds are someone at the table is going to be miserable if they haven't played the game.
It's rough.
It's really rough. We even had a rough time of it yesterday when we played it, man. It was rough.
Really?
We were just playing two people that we couldn't do damage. So it was like, well, let's just cause a lot of fear. And that's how we end up winning. But, man, and the other thing about this game, they are proud of the price on this game. This game is a very expensive game. So this is not one you want to buy and then find out you don't like. Go out, try it, find out. If you're into co-ops, it's not my favorite co-op because I can think of a couple that I like, I think, more. At least one I know I like a lot more. But this is a good co-op. If you like puzzly games, trying to solve a puzzle, this is definitely solving a puzzle. Trying to figure out the best way. And I couldn't put my finger on it until I played the app a lot. And even the app's expensive. But I couldn't figure it out. It's the interactions you get between the two spirits. The way one spirit works is totally different from the way another spirit works. And then just the interaction that you get between them and the randomness on the powers you're going to get. But yeah, I understand why a lot of people, this ain't their cup of tea. But this one, just the puzzle solving alone, I love that. I love that. I love the interaction. And since I love player powers, the way the player powers are so variable and interactive and different. And then the deck of player power, or the powers, the minors and majors that you can get are so diverse in every game. There's the odds that you're going to get the same powers and be able to pull off the same thing along with the same spirits. It's just not. I don't see it happening.
Right?
Huh?
You can lose at the game, right?
Oh, you lose. Yeah, you can definitely lose in this game. The time before last, there was no doubt we were losing.
Right.
And someone wasn't having fun, so we just went ahead and scooped it up. We were like, yeah, this guy's miserable. Yeah.
It's a rough. Do you feel like it could be some quarterbacking in it?
Actually, yes and no. Like, so I can quarterback to a degree, but I feel like a lot of it is I can't because I don't know. Like, I can tell you because you got that card with that guy, that's a great thing.
Right.
Or you need to take care of this, but because I don't know the way the interactions are going to work with each power you get, it's hard to quarterback. And that's what I think is so great about it. So to me, it feels a little bit more co-op-y because there's not a lot of quarterbacking into it. Unlike Pandemic, where I feel like it fully turns into a quarterback moment. Like, I want to say there was only one time I quarterbacked yesterday, and it was like literally, hey man, maybe instead of building here or doing something that's going to, not build there, but instead of doing something that's going to do something here where you're going to get some more presence, how about you take your cards back? Because then you could take care of this and this. Because the only reason I quarterbacked that was there was a situation where I couldn't deal with something. It was like, I've been able to deal with this, but this is the wrong timing. I can't deal with it now. And if you can do like, I couldn't figure out a way for me to do it. And it was like, hey, actually, you have a card that if you could take back, you can take this. That goes into a lot of detail if you don't know anything about the game, but if you like co-ops, the person I played with yesterday, they love co-ops, so they wanted to play this so bad. And they had already tried it once. And even then, he enjoyed it. It's a great co-op, but the learning curve on this is because of all the randomness and all the variance and variety that can happen in that game. And they're coming out with another expansion. It's going to almost double the last expansion, or at least meet the last expansion, which means more spirits, more cards. Like, oh my god, like
there's already more. There already is.
Yeah, like there's already so many variables in this, and you're throwing more into it. No, great game. Just play it first because it is an expensive game. I hate saying that about games sometimes, but it is one you want to try out before you play this because you don't want to spend that money and not like it. And I would also say, if you don't initially like it, try to find someone who has at least the first expansion, because It's the expansions that are going to add beasts and stuff like that into it. If you could try it with that, because that to me, I can tell you right now, it was way low for me until it was like 71 for me, and the first expansion popped it into my top 25. That added so much stuff that I loved, and of course random events. I love random events, but yeah, I could go off on this one for forever, and a lot of what I already said is probably going to get cut, but do try it with the expansion. Try it if you're going to try it for the first time. Try to find someone who's got at least one of the expansions, because either one of the expansions is going to add that stuff into it, and it does change the game quite a lot. But
all right, my number 13. I don't really want to talk much about it because I know it's going to get brought up again. Number 13 game is Scythe.
You don't know it's going to be brought up again.
It's a big game. I mean, it's a table hog. I mean, more people. To me, the game is balanced with more people, especially if you have 6 or 7 players. Now you're sitting there like, man, this game's going on, taking a while. But you got grid movement, a little bit of take that with the combat. It's not a very high combat game, especially when you start looking into it. You see these mechs come out, and mechs are more for movement, or getting you to an area of the board that you need, get the people over there. You don't want to dwell too much into combat. I really don't. Even though it's one of the stars you can get, actually you get 2 stars. You can do 2. Yeah, you get 2 stars, and then you can get the stars for having the more power. So there's 3 stars there, but you have asymmetric factions and multiple ways to victories. You got grid movement, and I like how you start on an area that doesn't give you everything. You have to kind of venture out.
Yeah, everybody's missing something.
And that's where the mechs come into play. And your leader can venture out and move part of the story of the game. Scythe, it's a very popular game. There's not much to really say about it. It kind of speaks for itself, but I know that it's going to get brought up again. So,
like I said, you don't know nothing.
Anyways, my number 13 game is Scythe. Great game.
It was number 1 for years on the Dice Tower Player's Choice, and players were choosing that. It's still in the top 10. It speaks for itself, like I said. The only thing I was going to say about it is, this is one of those games, people see it, and it is not the game they think it is.
Right.
They instantly think it's only about combat. Because you see big mechs, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a resource man. It's a Euro game. It's a hidden Euro game, and I always warn people about that. It's the first thing I teach them anytime. Like, I'm going to let you know right now, you can win through combat. You can do that. But this is a resource management.
There's one faction that will actually have more combat, right?
Yeah, that's the way you would do it, but it is very resource heavy Euro, and it's not going to be all about big mechs going into combat all the time. Like, your combats you don't want to do a lot of combats.
Right. Anyways, we don't dwell too much into it.
Yeah. My number 13, new to my list. I wish it was a little bit more sandboxy, I should say, if anything. This is my number 1 pirate game. Oh no, it's not my number 1 pirate game. I know it's not. Never mind. But it's still a great game. It just, at first, I thought it was supposed to be a sandbox game. It ended up not being a sandbox game. It ended up being more about area control. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be on someone else's list a little higher up. But once I learned that, I did end up I can guarantee it moved up because of it. And it's Dead Reckoning. I love Dead Reckoning. Once I learned that it was about that area control, it definitely... Because, man, I was getting frustrated in this game because I kept trying to do everything else. And you can do other stuff in this game. And you have to, as a matter of fact. You don't have a choice. You have to dabble in the other stuff. There's no doubts about that. But I kept only trying to gear only in one way and not really messing with the area control. And you have to area control in this game.
There's some pickup and delivery stuff that you kind of have to do to maintain that area control to get the resources.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, when I realized that, because I was just trying to only be a merchant and not really trying to take over areas, and that, it was frustrating in those games. I do like the way the combat works in the game is different. I do worry about...
You talking about the cubes?
It's because of the cardboard. The cardboard, not so much the cardboard ship, but... My walls are already starting to get
a really? You talking about the
just the walls around it? If you haven't played the game or seen it, it's got a dice tower. It's a dice tower like mechanic where you're gonna drop some cubes and they're gonna fall into like little slots, kind of like a. Oh, I want to say pachinko machine.
They're like rewards. Yeah, they're like reward slots.
But that's also going to determine whether you win or not. So the nice thing about the game is you can, if someone is attacking you and they're just going to destroy you, you could still just win with 1 or 2 cubes, even though they're getting 6 or 7 cubes. They're dropping down in there, just depending on how stuff falls out of there.
Some awards out of it, or
or you may get some rewards, or there's so many different things that can happen in that combat. But what's happening is you're dropping them down in there, and there's these walls that are keeping them into the slot area. My walls are starting to break down already. At least it's not so much break down. I can't keep them into the slots. And I don't want to glue them in because then I won't be able to put the game away.
Yeah.
So that's my only worry in the game. I'm probably going to look into
something.
Someone who knows how to use a CAD file or something and have them see if they can 3D print me up
the walls
and everything. I can paint it all up, or not even just the walls, everything.
Yeah.
See if they can 3D print everything up for me. But anyways, yeah. Other than that, this also has the card crafting, which I am so happy they added into. I find another game with AEG that done this, because I liked Mystic Vale for the card crafting and the beautiful art, but the gameplay just always was kind of meh to me. But I always wanted to play because I wanted to be able to card craft. Mm-hmm. So this being able to do it, and I do have the other card crafting. I've not played it yet, Edge of Darkness. Load up cannons and you can go take down people's islands, or you can go shoot down their ships, or you can go raid merchants. And last thing I'm gonna really say about it, because there's not really much I can really say. It adds everything in. It has that sandbox, everything that Merchant Marauders says it can do, but you're not doing it as much. It's not really. But the storytelling in this one, it has the sagas that you can mix in, and you can hit them or not. And whether you're hitting on the sagas or not, you can go for victory points on them or not. There's always an option. Like when it tells you to go to a story, there's a thing where you can choose something that's just going to progress the story, which really isn't going to give you anything. Or you can just choose the other options, it's just going to be victory points or something like that. So you don't have to. So it's not like, oh, because I kept hitting story stuff, I didn't get victory points. No, you could choose to go that way.
I found the mermaids one time.
Yeah, the mermaids are out there. Actually, they were all over the place when I played last time. I just avoided them. But yeah, no, there's so much in the game, and that story stuff, the saga, they got a new one coming out. We'll see how it fares with that one. I haven't even hit all the story because I haven't even mixed in the second saga. I only mixed in. Yeah, I played it quite a bit now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, solo more than not, but and you're right, the solo's pretty rough. He just attacks you a lot, and just can take your areas for no reason. Yeah. But yeah, the sagas, I haven't even mixed in the second saga, which is way bigger than the first saga, and I'm still finding stuff in the first saga. So there's not much more, and plus I'm sure we're gonna
talk about it again.
Talk about it again here.
You don't know that.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, Dead Reckoning number 13, card crafting.
My number 12. Man, I asked to play this a lot. We actually have a guy who comes in who was the leader of the game, or some sort of person who's promoting the game. Mosaic, a story of civilization. Civ building game with action selection. You got 7 actions in that game to pick from?
I think so.
Yeah, 7 actions. Area control with hand management. And you don't always have to be in combat. You see this game and you get units on the board. There's military units you can put out there. And then you have an open draft. It's got tag management, and it's not a very long game. And the tag management, I like your version where you have
you gotta have those. You gotta have
dials at the bottom, because you'll find yourself getting these cards, and then you'll get something that wants all these tags, and you have to count up your tags of all your cards and your hand management that you have. But the version he has a dial for each.
The Colossal.
Yeah, it has a dial. Now it's a table hog. Your own player board is huge, so you have the big table for this, especially with a lot of people. But with me, area control, that's one of my big deals. So it's got a little bit of area control, and unlike just like Clash of Cultures, you have more units. You have more units to work with compared to Clash of Cultures, so you can move around the board. The problem is, it's like wolves. You can get kind of weak.
Yeah.
You stretch out too thin, then you'll start losing your areas around the board. So that's my number 12, Mosaic. I do like the artwork is amazing. The board's pretty. You look at this game and you really don't think it's a Civ building game, but at the end of it, it kind of is, right?
Civ themed.
Yeah, Civ themed. and you're getting cards, and you can build a wonder. You don't really necessarily have to do the cards. The wonders give you some extra stuff, but you're gonna have to figure out a way to get a lot of resources and a lot of those tags to build those wonders. Yeah. But it's Civ game like. There's always resources to get. You can get the set collection of the food or the fish or something that over here on the side on your boards you would stack them to where you can get the certain tags on certain cards. But if you like area control, it's like I said, you don't have to do that, but there is part of that game because you do score the control of areas that you have in the certain, and it's
empire scoring.
Yeah, empire scoring. So it's mosaic, so the tile, the board looks that
like
type
a mosaic,
of artwork, but it's all over there in southern part of Europe. So
I argued it's not a Civ game, but it's Civ themed. Like the only game I would like say it's adjacent to, and I don't know if you played it yet, is Tapestry.
Okay.
That's how it felt. Like in Tapestry, it feels like, man, we're cavemen and I have batteries. Well, they're saying you have the idea of like whatever it is, and that's my only thing with Mosaic. Other than that, no, I think it's fine. I like the game. I love how quick it is. I talked about that too. Yeah, the turns are fast. There's no long downtime. It's pop, pop, pop.
And the way you score it is the cards are randomly in the deck, and whenever you come up to that card, you score whatever you have at that time, and it happens 3 times, I believe, 3 or 4 times.
We had Empire scoring on the last play. Yeah, for sure. Yep, Mosaic, great game. I already talked about it, but everything you said,
same thing.
Nails it all down. Yeah. My number 12. This was Tom Vassel's favorite game for a long time, from the Dice Tower. I hated this game the first few times I played it. And I always tell people this is a game you're going to hate it, most likely, because you're not going to get it at first. And you're going to have to realize that it's more of a social game. But I've never had a game play the same, ever. And there's no way this game could ever play the same. That game is Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter is my number 12. It was 12 last year, 12 the year before. Looks like it's pretty much steady. 12.
Staying there.
First off, this game's sweet spot is 5 players. You have to have 5 players. And each person, the game's simple. The game's been around since the 70s. I want to say this is the 4th edition. I think they call it the 42nd. Just to make the
really wow.
the nerd thing about 42. But it's been around since the 70s. It's a very simple game. And at the heart of it, it's just a card combat, get victory points game. And I hated it. I just hated the randomness of it. I hated how random the cards could be. But the players, the alien race you get is what? If you have all the expansions, you're talking over 180 aliens. And each of them break the rule in the game. Each alien breaks a rule in the game. Like the one that always sticks out to me is the first one when you open the box, if you have them in alphabetical order, is Ace. So normally you need 5 planets. You just have to have 5 planets to win the game, as far as have 5 colonies on other people's planets. The Ace only needs 1, and he wins the game. So the idea that he can break the game like that, but everybody's power is that strong. Like, it's just, how can you pull it off? And that's where people, and I admit it, I hated it. It took people forcing me to play it multiple times. And then finally, when I saw the art of, it's not all about the cards. A lot of it is social. A lot of it is, of course, I'm one of those few people. A lot of people want to win this game by themselves. This game can have, everybody but one can win this game. And actually, we had a game where everybody won the game because someone was able to pull something off. So this is one of those games where you know what? It's a big universe and big galaxy out there. I don't have to win the game by myself. I'll take somebody along with me. Let's do this, you know? So the idea that you could do that, and the way the powers do play out, and the different alien powers you have and the different aliens you have, just everything changes. I don't really know what I could say about the game that it hasn't been said already, because it's been out for so long, other than if you did not like it, if it may be if you broke it down and just were trying to look at the cards and try to figure out how to win just through the cards, that could be rough. But the way backstabbing can happen in this game, the social element in the game, everything that can happen in this game, and when somebody pulls off one of their player powers, especially if they're just getting into the role playing of that alien, is ridiculous. So yeah, I love this game, and it's staying steady here as we saw 12-12. I don't see it moving 12-12-12. I don't see it moving again.
It's pretty high on player's choice, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it still makes player's choice. I don't remember if it was a player's choice. Actually, I never even paid attention to that. I know it used to be when at least 7 or 8 years ago. It was definitely in the top 20 for sure. But yeah, this is one of those games. I am so glad people forced me to play it. It does not get as much play here because there are people who don't want to play this type of game where there could be backstabbing and stuff like that. So we just steer away from it and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I actually want to get to the table every time. I do think the sweet spot's 5 players, though. And I think any more than that, it gets a little crazy. And Cosmic Encounter, number 12.
All right, my number 11. We played it recently. It's one of those ones you need a lot of room for, a lot of table space, especially if you play the collector's edition, which has the Colossus and everything in it. It's Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I never win this game. Yeah, Ludwig, right? That's Mad King Ludwig. Big game with big pieces if you have the collectors and the Colossals. I don't win this game very much, but I like to see what I can build with different rooms. The last time we played it, this dude stayed underground the whole time. Just built a dungeon and just scored victory points off of that. But then we found out we scored it wrong, and then we scored it right, and you know, it just got a little out of
we
hand.
did realize that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The scoring can be very confusing. Like if you don't score it right, you find yourself going back and being like, well, we didn't score this right. We got to change the victory points or something like that, or this building.
I think that was just more of me not reading the rule book and being taught the game wrong.
It can be, the scoring can be confusing, especially if you build this room with this massive victory points you can get from.
I did pull that off last time.
And especially if you stay underground, because those are per rooms you have underground. The auction system I like. It doesn't seem very overwhelming. It doesn't seem very unfair, right?
No, it's very clean.
Yeah, so you get. You're the auctioneer or whatever, and the people that buy the rooms, you know, that the king wants or whatever, pay the person who's the master designer or whatever. So you get your resources by that. It allows you to set certain rooms at certain prices. So if you do know somebody who wants a certain room or whatever that needs it, you can put it at a more expensive price. It is tile placement. Specific direction by satisfying the king to build the best castle he desires. You can satisfy the king if you want to, right? Or you can go your own direction. There are different things the king might want in his castle, and the last time we played, we found out they conflicted each other. So you were like, do I build what the king wants? How do I get these? How do I balance between...
I say it all the time, screw the king.
Yeah.
He don't know what he wants.
How do I balance between the king and getting first on this? Because if you do what the king wants, if you're first in that number of rooms that you build, you get the most victory points, and then second, third, fourth, you get the rest of them. And it's one of my favorite games, but you play with the Colossus edition, you better have a lot of room, a lot of space.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like playing with the big crayons. You want to play with the big pieces. No, I wish this could hit the table a lot more. This did move up to me because of the Colossal edition. This is a great game. Yeah. This is another one I hated first 2 or 3 plays, but we kept getting the same one. I don't think we've hit it yet. I wonder if it's even still in there. I'm sure it is. There's one that goes all on square footage. There's one where you have to the king wants the most square footage or something like that, or certain square footages. Those are a pain to score because everything he said I agree with. It's a good game. I just think I was taught wrong is the reason the scoring was so weird last time.
Well, even just like, hey, how do I score this room?
I always have people who have to ask me. The scoring is a tricky thing.
And then if you don't pay attention to what type of room it is, you may not get that extra bonus.
Yes.
So if it's an outdoor room or
penalty if you got too close to the activity rooms. Yeah, no, great game. Talked about it also. It moved up because of the Colossal. I think it would have fell off my top 100 only because it is point sality. But yeah, the Colossal was fun to break out. Not just because of that. I don't know. It's more than just playing with the big pieces. I think it just adds a little bit more to the game. And I can't wait for the expansion, which I mentioned to you the other
Right.
night, we should be getting. You're looking for the drafting one that's
the
coming out.
drafting one. And it, like I said, the scoring's confusing, but the teach is fairly easy. You can bust this
Yes.
out and teach people pretty quickly.
Yep, I teach it to a new person. Even the guy that did the underground you were talking about, I want to say it's like the third or fourth board game he's played with us.
And he did something unique that I'd never seen in it.
And he was scoring points.
Left and right.
Yeah,
He
it was-
found out at the end that it wasn't enough to win.
Yeah, it was insane. And it's because he just harped on it too much. He harped on the underground too much and got lucky with certain tiles, but he didn't take advantage of some of the other tiles he had. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, great game. Council Mackey and Ludwig. Yeah. My number 11. Yeah, if you're a follower of my channel, you know I like this game a lot. You even play the game. It's number 11. It was 14 last year, 18 the year before, so it's just hanging in the same spot. I like it more and more. Marvel Champions, the card game. I love playing this game. I now have played the story stuff a little bit more. It doesn't really add or take away to me, just extra something you can do. But man, they keep releasing more and more stuff, and every time when I think that they can't come up with something new or how someone acts or interacts, it's different every time. And I love this. While I run a shop that's all around Magic, and I do like Magic still, it's still a game that's in my top 150. This was a Magic killer for me because I just don't like deck building. And I know to some people that is, deck brewing is kind of the thing they love doing. So when I said deck building, I meant deck brewing. Like when you're constructing a deck, it's like people always like when I say deck building, they're like, oh, like Magic. Like, no, that's deck construction and stuff. This is my deck construction, and I love building decks to this. I get done playing a new person, even if it's a character I don't like that much from the comics. I want to build stuff with them. I can already think of things. My brain is just, I get that feeling that I used to get in Magic 20 years ago when I played it the most. Well, I should say the most, but when I first got into it. Yeah, there's not much I can say about this because I talk about it on the channel all the time. But one thing I will say, if you've never played it, the nice thing about it is you don't have to invest in this game wholly. Like, you don't have to buy everything in this game. That's one of the cool things about it. And it's and if you don't like the randomness from the Magic boosters, you can just go grab man, you like Wolverine? Go buy the Wolverine Hero Pack and find one of your friends who has the base game, and you can just play the Wolverine Hero Pack just straight there. You don't the Wolverine Hero Pack comes with a constructed deck ready to go, and it means you can sit down and play with them. And then that way, hey, you made a small investment. I think they're $17 now for the hero packs. You made a $17 investment. You know whether you like the game or not. You know whether you want to buy any other stuff. And then even if you want to buy any of the other stuff, you don't have to worry about, like, you get all of the cards you need to do your deck construction right there. So you open that Wolverine pack up, there's your deck construction. There's your 3 cards that you need if that's the most you can play with in your deck. Only time you're going to need to buy other cards if you want to brew more, if you want to go into a different aspect or something. This is the capabilities of that, and being able to break that down and make it to where you don't have to spend all that money and you can have that same feel. Cool. Now, the other thing I heard people kind of complain about with it is they don't like that it's co-op. They want to be able to go against. I think I like the co-op aspect of it. I like the way it works. I like the way I could throw in, hey, we're doing Sabretooth, and he's, for some reason, building Sentinels, and he's got the, Brotherhood came to mind, but I was trying to think of Masters of Evil. He's got the Master of Evil working with him for some reason. You could throw all that in if you want to. That's the thing you can go against. Or you can get your butts whooped against Ronin like we did. Just run around.
Well, we had some,
Well, we did have some new players to it, but yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Hulk knocked out turn 1. It's done. They're like, it's done. Yeah. No, I do like this game, and if you like comic books, if you like the comic book characters, what I feel like they also grasp very well in this game is they take that comic book character, and yeah, you see dabbles of the movie, of the MCU stuff, but it's the characters from the comics. It grabs them. Like when I played Star-Lord, it felt like Star-Lord from the comics. When I played Gamora, because that's what I was worried about. Gamora is one of my main decks. When I played Gamora, I was worried it was going to be more like Gamora from the MCU, which I'm not a fan of Gamora from the MCU. I don't think she's as awesome as she was in the comics. She felt awesome. She felt like this trained killer assassin thing character in the comics that she was in the game as she was in the comics. And I mean, yeah, if you're a Marvel fan, you like some deck brewing and you want something that's co-op or you want something that's just fun, check it out, man. It's a great game.
It can get a bit overwhelming, especially if you play against a guy who just shuts your whole engine down that you built.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, man, and then nobody's helping you to try and get your engine back going, and, or the person's just in it for themselves, or just didn't build a very good deck, or didn't pick a very good person.
Yeah, there's so many elements that can change your like. Yeah, this is I will warn 4 players is a little rough in this game. 4 players, there's a lot of downtime in this game, and it just feels like a little overwhelming, like he was saying. I think the sweet spot's 2 actually. 3 I think is bearable. You could do 3. I think 3 could still be handled. 2 is actually I think the sweet spot because the reason I say this is a very good co-op game is you could do things on other people's turns and you time things. It does play well solo. I play this game a lot solo, and it does very good solo, but it does not catch that co-op element that you can be done with multiplayer. But yeah, I could go off on this forever, but I've got tons of videos on the channel. Check them out if you are interested. I do a teach as I go through it. I try to play with every single character straight from their deck. I have not gone back and done the original characters. I do need to do them, but I have so many on this channel you can check out. There's also so many other things you can see from other people's channels, but it is a great game.
Another thing is you buy a lot of decks, you better figure out a way to store all of it.
Yes, I have a 5K box and I'm running out of space.
Yeah,
it's almost as bad as my Legendary collection. It's I think Legendary.
Because the main box you get is not enough.
Yeah.
So,
but all right,
that's it.
Well, cool. Well,
that's 25 through 11.
Yeah, that's 25 through 11. I'll probably trim out a lot, just to make it a little shorter, but I'm going to try to keep most of it in there because I think a lot of our passion for the games have came through. We'll see. I'll take out anything I felt like just didn't need to be in there, like that was just us rattling and prattling on. Take out any gaffes. But other than that, it was cool. We definitely saw some differences in opinions here. A lot of the stuff that I was surprised by a couple things on your list, but I don't think much of mine was surprised because we usually probably mine. I try to get my games to the table. But
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
We'll be back
for the top 10 for sure. 10. And I might even try to get a couple of other, not a couple of other, but I do have another person I've been talking to about maybe doing a top 10 with them and stuff. So we'll see if we can get that in there. But other than that, thank you for watching. Have a great day.
All right.